Secretary Belio Kipsang said that the learners are required to register as dependents of their parents. Then Kenya signed a 14.2 billion 5-year deal with Germany's currency printer, that is Deviant Technologies, to print new notes to replace the old ones and also avoid possible stockouts, Central Bank revealed a day ago. I will try and bring in as more news as possible, but the highlight of today as well is the new university funding model in Kenya that has received a backlash. Before we begin, as always, I will ask you to retweet the space because we do these topics on a need-for-need basis. We research into them and we ask you, please do your part and retweet the space. The way we do it is go to the message side, the message icon that is the bottom right, click on the message icon, and then click the upside down arrow. Follow the prompts as we retweet the space. I see the numbers increasing. That's the way we do it. 5 reposts. Manze, let's do this. Psych. Kioti, do you have something to say before I go into the open session?
Yeah, so let me just go through the people's daily for today. I can see there are fat payslips for teachers, ahead of their demonstrations on Monday. And Rail, of course, has set to hit the road for the AU job. Then Hassan Joho, the current CS for mining, is in fresh trouble as a section of petitioners have challenged his appointment as the cabinet secretary for mining, citing as he's unfit for the position. And then another one, there's a manhunt still on for the duo in 4 billion heist mystery. Is junior happy? Sijui kama ni ile ya Equity, but I'll go through it back later. Then 2 people have been arrested in possession of 10 kg tusks and firearms. Then there is an alert in Mombasa over the spread of dengue fever. Wachina jo unajua hiyo. Then of course, the court has agreed to extend by 60 days terms for task force. I don't know which task force is this one, but I'll go through it later. Then MPs uncover fake impressed scheme. Then Anse in Mount Kenya politics threatens to destabilize Ruto. Then Matakarua seeks justice for victims of Gen Z demonstrations. Then there are suspects who are reaching out to Sudi over property vandalism. And then kuna hiyo hapo. Then a man has been convicted for 100,000 bribe to police officer in Nairobi. Yeah. Just a minute. Politicians change, but country remains the same. Okay, alafu kuna yenye nilikuwa nimesoma from the national newspaper that I think ilikuwa at 5, where the court has ordered the Nakuru County to pay a man called Peter Nyongesa 35 million Kenyan shillings for demolishing his building in Nakuru. So I think hizo tu ndio nimesoma leo. I've read the Daily Nation and currently I'm reading the People Daily. I'll try to look for the Standard. Yeah. Back to you, Wanyama.
Thanks, Kioti. Now, nilikuwa nimesahau, CJ Koome reaches out to the church to aid case backlog. Imagine the court reaching out to the church to assist them in clearing. Maisha ni ngumu hiyo Kenya. But fret not, because this is Sauti ya Mwananchi, where we will be able to discuss all these things. Now, to keep the conversation going, we are going to the open time. Open time is the time where you raise your opinion. And today, before you raise your opinion, I want to tell you about the new university funding model, what you should know, the facts and the fiction about it before we get into the discussion. Because at Sauti ya Mwananchi, this is what we do. We just don't come and say, oh, iko hivi na hivi. Hata ukikuja kupiga story ya Jaba in the speakers panel, we want you to know what it is and what it is not, and then make your decision. Whatever I'm going to tell you is what is available as the information given. So, I'll split this into several parts and walk with me. Walk with me, tafadhali. Najua ni asubuhi, but please walk with me through this as we understand this. So I've split this into several sections. I think there are 4 sections for you to understand this new university funding model. I've split it into the funding structure, the implementation, the impact and reception, and finally the changes from the old model. Like, what are the main changes from the old model? Let's start with the funding structure. So it's split into scholarships and loans. Students have been structured into bands, and these bands are dependent on family income. Those bands are 5. Band 1 is the extremely needy students. These are the students who receive 70% scholarship, 25% loan, with the family contributing only 5% of the fees. Band 2 is 60% scholarship, 30% loan, and the family contributes the rest. Band 3, 50% scholarship, 30% loan, family does the rest. Band 4, 40% scholarship, 30% loan, family does the rest. Band 5, this is the high income, watoto wa dosi, 30% scholarship, 30% loan, and the family does the rest. They also develop a means testing instrument. This tool assesses students' financial need based on household income, geographic location, poverty levels, family size, and special circumstances like disabilities. Like, you go online, unakueleza income ya mama, income ya baba, blah, blah. You apply and it decides for you which band you belong to. Now, that is the structure. I hope you understand now the family structure, the funding structure. Let's go to the implementation. The model was set to start with the 2022 KCSE cohort. If you don't understand what KCSE is, that's Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, with the government promising to increase funding for the most vulnerable from 80 to 95%. So the government's assumption is over 85% of eligible students from the 2022 cohort have applied for this funding. But what option do they have? Because majority depend on public education in Kenya. That's it. We go to the impact and reception. The positive aspects, it's aimed at empowering vulnerable students. That's on paper, promoting equity and ensuring that financial need does not bar access to education. The challenges, however, is some critics and some students express concerns over increased fees for certain categories, potentially forcing students into courses they can afford rather than what they aspire to be or to study. There's also a debate on how effectively this model addresses the needs of all students, especially those from middle-income families. Now, that's where the debacle is. Lastly, the last part is the changes from the other model. One, these are the changes. I'm just trying to highlight the changes between the new funding model and the old funding model. One is the delinked placement and funding placement. I got this from the Ministry of Education in case you're wondering how. So there is a delinked placement and funding. And this means this. Placement by the Kenya universities and colleges, Central Placement Service. Si tulikuanga na ingine ilikuwa inaitwa JAB. Then it was shifted to KUCCPS. So wale wa JAB, you can get what I'm speaking about. That is KUCCPS. It's the current one. It will now be based on merit and choice. Students will apply separately for financial assistance, including government scholarships and loans. Number 2, it was intended to be need-based funding instead of a uniform grant. Funding will be based on the means testing instrument. I've explained what the means testing instrument is, the MTI, where it evaluates your financial status. And third is the mean testing instrument. Previously, it was not there, but now it's being used to determine the level of need for the government scholarships and loans. Fourth, it's an actual cost funding. The funding criteria are now based on the actual cost of university programs, which varies from institution to institution. Next is varied government funding ratios. The cost-sharing model has been revised. The funding ratios from the government, households, and other sources have been adjusted. Diversified funding streams also is the other change. Universities will benefit from diversified funding streams, including student financing, research grants, capital infrastructure grants, and consultancy services, which for me I really doubt, because things like research grants, capital infrastructure grants, and such kind of things have always existed even with the other funding. Lastly, application and allocation process. To streamline the application process, the ministry developed a central portal that is www.hef.co.ke, where students could apply for both scholarships and loans. Now you know. If you haven't understood, you can listen to the recording of this space at the beginning, and you'll be able to understand all these things that I've mentioned. Now that you know, let's get into the open session. Please request for the mic. This is Sauti ya Mwananchi. I'm your host, Wanyama Wafula. A very lovely morning from me to you. As always, we bring you with much energy. Today is Amapiano Friday as well, because every day we have the music section. And we also read to you the daily news. Then after that, we get into the open time, which is what we are at the moment, where you give your opinion after knowing what we've given you as the facts or the data that is existent. Then after that, as we listen to you, we have the action items that we take note as hosts and co-hosts. My name is Wanyama Wafula, as always, your favorite host, co-hosted by the other guy who hosts in the evening, called Marvin Mabonga. That's KOT Sonko. You know him as KOT Sonko or Sonko _ 254. Every day we start a topic in the morning. In the evening, he also hosts a topic on Sauti ya Mwananchi on his handle. And we have a barrage of co-hosts to keep this one going. Na wanafanyanga kazi safi sana. In fact, today I'm very surprised. Ayo has made it. Ayo the 6th has made it to the morning show. Kuamuka ni shida. Ayo the 6th is one of the co-hosts. We also have Escowino, who will be joining us as well. And the other co-host is Rabia Hawa. Rabia will be joining us after she finishes her things in Kipini, Mombasa. The other host is also Afrocentric, whom we are still encouraging to come to the spaces as much as the time difference is not allowing. But that is the Sauti ya Mwananchi team. Thank you for always joining us. Najua ni asubuhi sana, but this is your morning drive show. If you engage with it, you give us all the motivation to keep this one going. Ayo, it's been some time. What's up?
Morning, Wanyama. Yeah, morning, KOT. Morning, all the speakers. I can see Stella Nyanzi is here. Dr. Stella Nyanzi, nice to see you. I can see all the listeners down there, CRKK, and the rest. I'm good. I'm here because you won't believe. I'm here because I did not sleep. So that tells you why I'm here. I did not manage to sleep yesterday night, but I'm alive. I'm alive and well. I'm glad to know that all of you are alive. And That's quite an interesting, topic, the new university funding model that is kicking on this morning. I'd really love to hear what people have to say about it now that you've really, really, really laid a very strong foundation and given us a good background of where it started, where it is, and probably the future of what we need to expect about it. And I can't wait to engage, I can't really wait to engage, but I'm well. I hope KOT is all right. Had he spoken before? I hope so. And if he hasn't, probably he would get to greet us. Nisikie sauti ya Mabonga, Mr. Mabonga. But I'm alive and well. Thank you so much, Wanyama. Back to you.
Ayo ungekuja mapema usikie sauti yangu bwana. Nipigie tu simu.
Allah. Sawa. Okay, you can go ahead, Wanyama.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, gentlemen. Now, let's open the floor to everyone else. I'm going to start with tulisema tuweki watu ngoje. Hey, I don't know who to start with. I think Stella. Stella, good morning.
Stella, are you there? Stella Nyanzi. Probably she's not ready. She just thumbs down. Probably she's not ready. But
so please,
if they are afraid of, kicking off the conversation, I had a few things that I read, which was surprising, about how the new university, the new model of funding will be utilized, and I read something about the determinants of the student level of need, and back then I guess the help. It actually meant testing. It was a means of testing instrument that was going to be applied to ensure that all needy students were equally supported. And as per what I read last night or the other day, I saw that they had the MTIs, the help MTIs. It scored like students based on different parameters, and I guess there were 8 parameters, if I'm not wrong. That was the parents' background. They were checking the parents' background, which is very interesting. Of course, around the parents' background, there were varied weights which were going to be assigned to whether the child is an orphan, is a total orphan, whether he's single parented or the parents are divorced, Then the gender, it varied weights will be, assigned to whether the student is a male or a female. The course type, whether it is a course from STEM or arts. The previous school types, it varied whether it will be assigned whether you came from a private school or a public school, which is very interesting, Then there's expenditure on education. Varied weights will be assigned to whether other siblings are in high school, tertiary, or the family size and composition. So does the government have all, if I was gonna go look for that model of funding to fund my education, are they going to look at the kind of family that I'm coming from, what my siblings do? Will it be assigned to no children, or rather do they determine whether I'm coming from polygamous family, a monogamous family, and the age of my parents? Because I found that quite interesting again. And then the marginalization, the varied weights will be assigned to whether students come from marginalized counties or institutions is in those regions. And then the persons living with ability, the PWDs, person living with disability, the varied weights will be assigned to any form of disability. I think what they are trying to do is basically it cuts across the international scholarships, like like Chevening or the Commonwealth scholarships of Britain of our times, and probably some the Fulbright scholarships. If you guys have applied for scholarships to go study abroad, you'll hear names like Chevening, Commonwealth, Fulbright scholarships, probably in the US, and so on and so forth. They always have different modes on how to how they interview, or rather they appropriate those scholarships to different students to meet their points of need. But really, this issue of looking at the kind of family I'm coming from, I might be coming from a very large family, but they are not able to help me raise the fees. So what happens to such people? And persons with disability, I might be a person living with disability, but then again, I come from a rich family and I can finance myself. So how do they look at those issues on board? So I think it's something that it's really worth discussing about, because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, tumesoma, tunataka kusoma bado. Most of us still want to go back to school and get their master's degree and their PhDs and so on and so forth. So how is this really affecting us? So I would really love to hear what other people have to say about this in terms of the modus operandi on how these scholarships are going to be distributed, and how is it, like Wanyama, I found you trying to dissect it. How is it going to be different from the HELB of 10 years ago or 15 years ago? How is it going to be different? Because back then, if you are a very bright student, I understand that HELB was going to cater for your fees, and even how how you're gonna live, and probably pay the hostels and so on and so forth. But how is this different from the previous one? So those are the things that I'd really love to understand, and how you guys have digested this new university funding model. So I'll take it to whoever is ready to speak, probably, I guess. Hunter, were you ready? The Hunter, were you ready to speak? Or we go to, you guys can raise up your hands if you're ready to speak. We kick off the conversation. Anybody, somebody? African Lion or Michael? The mic is yours. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning to you. How are you, Michael?
I'm good. I hope everyone is good. Keotite, Wanyama. So, this regime yenye iko mbovu na iko mbaya. Ukiangalia hii university, hii shughuli ya uni iko nje kabisa, iko nje. So wa chini anaendelea kuwa chini. It's like sasa wameona venye education imetufanya sisi kama vijana, imetufanya tumefunguka macho, imetufanya tumeona mbele, imetufanya tumeona vitu mingi, na pia tunaonesha wazazi wetu. So it's like they want to finish it. It's like now they don't want now our children or maybe wafike hapo, ama maybe waanze kuona vitu kaa hizo. Mimi sielewi regime iko na mpango gani yenye na young people, cause this thing is killing the young people. University na watu wadogo kabisa juu wezi niambia ati over 200k per sem, mtu wangu. Ati ndo, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense hata kidogo. It hurting, ina hurt kila mtu. Ina hurt mtu mdogo kabisa. But But what I think is this, ni ati kila kitu na wakati wake. Venye tu inakuja kwa light, hivyo tu ndo kila kitu itakuja kwa light. Mimi niliona hii shughuli ya basari, kuna women rep anapeana basari, kuna MP anapeana basari. As in baka prezo, kuna kiwango yake ya basari ametengewa. Na hii do yote niliona ikiunganishwa inakuja 100 and something billion, something which inaweza contain each and every student aende bure. Yani education ikuwe free for charge, hiyo pesa yote ikizaletwa kwa kikapu moja. But these people, because they want fame, because they want to be called bosses, because they want kutembea na magari ya kifahari, because they don't want to be touched, because they want to show us who they are, maringo mingi. I think ndio maana waliamua kutoanisha hiyo kila kitu. Ndio kila mtu apewe sifa yake. Ndio kila mtu akienda maybe ama leader wakienda kufanya mashughuli za ati invent something, ati lazima mapicha zao zionekane. I think this is the issue, because you cannot tell me women rep amepewa tibasari akuja peane. The other thing, MP, the same education, the same student, the same constituency, the same county, ati kila mtu amepewa basari. This thing doesn't make sense. We have to change. Our country have to change. Na tutalala akili kama hivyo ndo wanataka tudoza akili. Ni hivyo ndo naweza sema, hatutakubali kulala akili, hatutakubali kulalishwa akili. Wafanye tu venye wanafanya, but we are still watching, we are still talking to each other, we'll still hold in this space until each and everyone akuwe educated, until each and everyone educate mwenzake uko pia mtaani. That's what we are doing, and that's what we'll continue to do kwa hizi minyororo ya wase. And it will come a time, it is coming a time where everything itakuwa kwa light. Na sisi vijana tutakuwa tunaona mkono kwa sababu tumeshinda. Everything will come to light one by one, and we'll make it come to light. We the young people of this nation, we have the future. The future is ours. The future is ours. The education is ours. Now they want to take it away from us. No, this thing is unexpectable. Ini kitu haikubaliki hata kidogo. And which minajua jambo itafanyika. By time jambo itafanyika. Na hii kitu lazima tutagutuka, na ni lazima tutarudi kwa mchoro tena kuhusu university. Hii shughuli ya university haileti shangwe hata kidogo. Kama itabidi turudi kwa street, itabidi turudi, but hii shughuli haileti shangwe hata kidogo. Mimi mali naishi, niko na maneighbors kama 3 wanalia hii kitu ijawafaidi, wanalia hawataweza kufika hiyo uni. 3, mimi sijui hiyo place huko una wangapi, mimi hapa ni 3, but they are crying. Wanasema hawaendi, wanasema their future imekuwa darkened kabisa. Why? Because of this thing of university. Mtu anaona anatusaidia na kumbe anaendelea kutukill. But it will end. It will come to an end. That's what I know. Whatever they do, whatever they are doing, whatever they are thinking evil about us, it will come to an end, because we are alert, and we will be alert until shughuli yote ikawa mwisho. Mwana sikupoa, and thanks sana kila mtu.
Thank you sana Michael. Ayo, just before we continue, I wanted to ask before some clarification to the audience. I think there's someone who spoke. There's someone who spoke in KOT's song called Space Light Night. What had those university leaders gone to do at State House? We need clarification on that as well. Marvin, what transpired? Do you know anything about that?
Acha nimtafute. I have his contact. Let me just look for him.
So that will be good too.
Kitu penanga ora for ora.
I see kuna watu wameraise mikono. Who was next, Ayo?
I think we'll go to is it Denise Wafula first, then we go to African Lion. Denise Wafula, probably you would talk to us, maybe. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you for
Go
this.
ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the space, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm Wafula Dennis. Bana, hii kitu ya university funding model, hii kitu sijui tu ni nini wanafanya. Because unaona like the first gap, ile first band, ile ya most vulnerable. These guys wanataka mtu wa attach vitu vingi sana. Kuna wanafunzi kadhaa nimefanya application, but wale nimeattach vitu vingi sana about to prove that they are vulnerable nini. Naona they have secured the first band, but still it's not effective because kuna wale bado those things are attached but they are not in the first band. So I'm like, kwani ni criteria gani inatumika to rate these people? You get? For example, wewe nimekuatachia documents same na zangu, then najipata mimi niko third, wewe uko first band. So wezi niambia at system ina select na hii system iko fair. Because if it is the system now selecting and ile scale ni same, then we should be all in the same category. You get? So actually nimefail to understand vile hii system yao inafanya kazi. Nimejaribu but this system is not just working effectively. I don't know what really happened with the all the system ile ilikuwa ya ajabu. Yani sielewi tu kabisa. What I think, this is my thinking. Ruto anaweza kuwa hii pesa iko but kitu anataka ni kutaka kuzitumia. Unapata anaangalia wacha hawa ndo tutaweza kupea namba ikue hii.
Is Dennis still speaking? Ama ni mimi tumemlose?
Kama tumemlost kidogo, but I think he should rectify his mic. Dennis?
Hello? Yes, mnanipata?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying ni kama kuna mchezo hawa jamaa wanacheza. This is my thinking. Iwezi wezekana for example Wanyama, mimi wewe umeapply, tumetumia some documents na zangu. Kila kitu inahitajika kwa first tumeweka zote. Then inapatikana mimi nimechukuliwa in the first band, then wewe umewekwa in the third band. Alafu niambie ni system imefilter. Kwani ni nini imefilter ikatoa wewe na ikaweka mimi, keeping in mind that all the requirements zenye wewe umeweka ni zile mimi nimeweka. Everything tumeweka same. Unapata? So hapa yezikuwa ni system. Kuna mchezo inacheza. Probably this is what I think. Hello? My thinking is labda wameset system ikifikisha tuseme first band tunataka watu 100,000. Ikifika 100,000 regardless umeweka hujaweka unatolewa uweki kwa first band. Waseme maybe second band tunataka 200 or 300,000. Watu wakifika hiyo target wanatoa tena. Wale wanabaki mnaposhiwa kwa next band. Hivyo mpaka mwisho. You get? But sasa pia I think inaenda na who you are, because even ukiweka mtu ako vulnerable, tuseme mtu ako vulnerable, umeweka vitu zina prove ako vulnerable, na unapata umeweka mwingine mdosi alafu anapatikana ako first band, cause they were saying they are checking the mobile number. Ukiweka mobile number wanaangalia, the system is able to check the transactions of that mobile number in a day. So wezi niambia mobile number yangu na yako ya mdosi transactions ni same. So haiwezi wezekana mtoto wa mdosi mwenye mobile number yake transactions ni juu, ama umeweka detail yake ID number yake iko na KRA pin, maybe is linked to a company somewhere, because ukiweka ID number.
We've lost you again, but let me circle back. Dennis, I've lost you. Probably if Kamuna is here, just mute your mic for a moment. We've lost you, can't hear you. But let me circle back kidogo. Let's look at it from this direction, because there are people who are reasoning this way. Yeah? Just a moment, sorry. If you can hear me, there are people who are reasoning this way. Let's circle back to 10 years ago. When was I in college? We're in 2024, right? Let's say I joined college in 2009. I was in first year in 2009, right? Let's circle back. Back then, I wasn't mimi sikuingia kolena in a job. I paid my own fees. Yeah, I was a self-funded student. And back then, in my first year, let's say I paid around probably 60,000 shillings for my first year. And later on, probably it went to 70 something. And there's a time I paid 40 something thousand shillings back then, right? And if they want to reason that back then the current market bull run could support that, because I'm in the arts industry. I'm in the media industry. So that is arts. So of course, I wasn't, my fees was not like those guys of engineering, those guys of School of Mathematics, those guys back then. Okay, so probably the fees were varying in accordance to what course you're studying, right? And now, fast forward, how many years later? Around 10, 15, 16 years later, you're now hearing fees like 200,000 or 300,000, the bands of 200,000, 300,000, right? What has really changed? If education has rose higher to that level, that we now, students are no longer paying like numbers like 40,000 or 50,000 shillings, it's now in hundreds of thousands per semester. So what does that mean to our current market bull run, like of right now? Yeah, what does that mean to our market situation right now? Does this mean that as much as I'm gonna pay that 200,000 shillings as a student to study whatever course I'm gonna study, what does that mean for the job market? How much am I going to get paid to get paid as a newbie in my industry? For example, me being in the journalism and the arts field, my first salary, considering I had just finished my bachelor's degree back then. So what does that mean for a student studying journalism and wants to get into the industry right now? They just pay 200,000 shillings. What is gonna be their first? I want us to look at it from that wavelength. Does it make sense to the economy? Me paying 200,000 shillings? Is there return on investment in this education? Nikingia job market. Nenda kulipwa. Is my employer gonna pay me in regards to, the kind of fees that I paid? Like, I invested so much money in this education, and I'll speak of the public universities. Then we go to the private universities, like the likes of USIU, the likes of Daystar, Africa Nazarene, and so on and so forth. And that is just local. And then we go to universities like UON, KU, JQuat, and so on and so forth. Moi University of our days. What does that mean to the job market? If I'm gonna study that, if I'm gonna pay that much, is there return on investment with the job market? Are there jobs to begin with? Are the market ready to absorb us? Sisi wenye tumelipa hiyo do yote kwa uni tukishamaliza. Is the market ready to absorb us? So those are the things we also need to look at, other than just saying yes, imetumiza. Yes, tunajua ni punitive taxes and ni punitive whatever school fees. But again, let's look at the job market from your profession. I'm a journalist. I'm in the arts industry. What industry are you in? How much did you pay back then? And how much are our children gonna pay right now? And how's the job market? Or sisi ni wale nye tutasoma, then probably we apply for a scholarship of likes of Chevening, like I mentioned earlier, then go study abroad. Then after that, we go get absorbed in the international job markets and so on and so forth. So I want us to open our eyes and our minds and broaden our wavelength kidogo. We look at it from that perspective. Look at it from that direction. I can see African Lion, your hand was up first, then Honorable Mwangale. So let's go with African Lion, then Honorable Mwangale. African Lion, good morning. How are you?
Morning to you. Mine is a few points. I wanted to talk on the university funding model, because first it started by raising the school fees, if everyone can remember that. Then the second move, they brought about the university funding model. That shows there is something they are aiming. Then Kenya, if you check now Kenya, it has been used like a stamp country, because these people, they are going outside, copy things on which are being done on other countries without knowing the practicability on our country. Because if you check, most of Kenyans, they are very poor, and actually they cannot afford these school fees. I have ever been a student in the university, and I was almost dividing my course in the third year at the university because of lack of school fees. Now, as we talk of the school fees, you must talk about the other thing. Nimepotea kweli? Hello? Can you hear me?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. A minute. Korean? Korean? Yeah. Just a minute. Yeah.
Okay, then you can mute your mic. Then we go to the next speaker. Mwangale, you want to speak to us maybe?
Yes. Good morning, and thank you for giving me this chance. I've been following up, and I've been on these spaces. I'm very sure we've met with quite some number. Mine is a concern. Somebody asked about the universities and what the student leaders went to State House to do and everything. I'm Mwangale, and I'm a student leader, Moi University. I'm yet to get done with school, so I'm still holding my office. Not everybody went for that meeting. Not every student leader went for that meeting. Some of us even don't know the criteria they used to invite people to that meeting. And one unfortunate thing that really is pissing me off, you'll find like most of the student leaders who are present in that meeting, they have gone silent. Most of them. And what does it tell us? It's telling us that there is some dirty game being played somewhere at the expense of our country, at the expense of many parents who are going to suffer, at the expense of universities, which will be at verge of closing down because the university won't receive capitation if really at all we are going to agree and stick to this funding model. Fine, it's good that we are open for criticism, but now you also have to bear in mind that not everybody who are part of that team are rejecting, and not everybody are accepting. Personally, I'll still remain on my stand that we have to reject this thing because I'm a victim I can't sit just aside and watch this thing is punishing our kids.
Mongale, you keep coming and going. Fix your mic, Mongale. You keep coming and going.
Okay.
Go ahead. Can hear you.
So I was saying, these student leaders who wants to ruin everything because they received some little cash from State House, we also have to go for them, because they can't mess a whole population only for the 50 people who went to State House to receive some token and come to mess the whole university. We are not going to allow, and I will not allow, because you'll find that most of the students who are present in that meeting were SGs and the presidents of these universities. And when we're going to allow these people get silent because of 25,000 shillings, then we're going to miss everything. And one thing I'll tell you for free, what was discussed according to the information that we've received from those who are there, is that they deliberated on 1, 2, 3 things. On remove, I don't know, like doing away with band 4 and 5, I don't know, such things. And me, I'll tell you for free, there is nothing like doing away with band 1, 2, 3, or 4. We are doing away with the whole thing, because you can't tell me that the system, if the system has maybe 5 series, you are removing 1, you're going to mess everything. So it's let it go away, then let them come with something even like, fine, let them, okay, now correct the other system, because if they saw there is fault in that system, then it's better they would at least correct, then bring back. But now not bringing in something new that is not understood, that is totally punitive to our people, we should not allow that. And I think on this basis, we should call upon these leaders to come out and tell us their stance. And number 2, one thing that is really pissing me off is that all of us are not understanding that when placed in a given band, after some times, okay, after you are done with that first year of the placement of the band, then when you go to second year, you also need to apply. Yet, when you apply, of course, chances are very high that you won't be in the same band. And the fact that, few people are being placed in band 1, then it means the chances of these people, when they again apply for this thing, most of them maybe who are in band 1 will be shifted maybe to band 3, 2, 4, 5. Imagine a parent is maybe comfortable. For example, that parent mwenye alipata that chance to be in band 1, and that student, they're very comfortable. Maybe in School of Medicine, they are paying comfortably 50,000, a course that is worth 700,000 and above. Imagine that a parent's very comfortable and knows very well that that's the amount they're supposed to be paying because they apply. Then the next time they apply, they are being placed in a different band. Can you imagine that shock? So this is something that most of the people does not know, and I really, really wished that you go research about it and let's know that that's how it's happening. Mtu ameplacewa band 1 this time, next time they're in band 5, like everything is messed up. Mtu mwenye kama alikuwa lipa 50k in that course yenye na course, the medicine courses like 600,000 and above, akiwa band 5 they'll be paying more than 350,000. Sasa parent ako very comfortable. Kidogo ameshiftiwa. Kidogo, what's that surely? So it's not about doing away and rectifying 1, 2, 3. No, that thing should go in totality. And another thing about the authenticity of placement of the students in this funding model. I'll always tell people, there is no time you can ever convince me that you have more rich people in this country and few less fortunate in this country. Why will the government give 15% of the whole population of students placed in band 1? Then the bigger population, band 4 and 5. Hata kama gava really, it's really thinking. they know very well that at least Atakama, of course, maybe the student did provide the supporting document and what, most people should be in band 1. And that's it. Most of the population are living under that 5,000 and what. In fact, some of the people even are not earning anything. And tell me, how is the government going to evaluate a student who has no parents or maybe parents separated, and they don't have any official document to defend themselves? How are they going to help this kid? And it's not their fault, of course. It's not their fault. Maybe the parents separated. They didn't divorce, maybe that, official thing. How are you going to have that kid? And it does not mean like when you have both parents, now you are in position to pay your school fees and everything. And it does not mean because my parents earn 120,000 and above, they are very comfortable, they can pay my fee comfortably. Tell me, if maybe we are 5 of us, and maybe 2 or 3 of us are in college, how is that 120 shillings going to cater for our needs? Kindly, let's think in a broader way. Leave alone that. I talked about, the market outside here. We all know that getting job in this country is next to impossible. And the government is really forcing us to get job outside their kuosha watu. They like very, very demeaning jobs. Yani, they mean like that degree is kind of useless. So you can just go outside there, get anything to do, and we are people who are dignified. We are not less human beings. Niambe kitambo, like, fine. Maybe I don't have any issue with what Martha Koome said. These bursaries and everything to be placed in one basket. It's a good idea. Yes.
If I can just cut you short, would you kindly mind to explain to us the differences between these bands from band 1 to band 5? Kindly.
Yes. So, in band 1, let me get it exactly right. Then how it's explained. In band 1, most of the people placed in band 1 are those people whom their parents earn less than 5,000 shillings. And of course, to be placed in band 1, maybe you have to have gone to maybe a local primary school, a local secondary school. Maybe you are on other bursaries, or maybe you are an orphan. Like, those are the criteria they are using to place these students in these bands. And you'll find that apart from that, you'll find that now the contacts, like, they are being uploaded, that are the contacts, the information of the parents, like they'll check on KRA, they'll check on NTSA, I don't know, to get to know that if your parents has a car and, such things. That really does not make sense. Let me get the breakdown. I have some document with me. Let me try look for it. Kidogo. Just a few minutes. Okay. This is it. Okay. In band 2, you'll find income of the parent is around up to 23,670. The government scholarship is 60%. The loan is 30%. The family will contribute 10% of that fee, and the help upkeep will be 55,000 for that student. Of course, at least this is more reasonable, because when the government gives a scholarship of 60%, at least now, depending on the courses that a person is taking, at least it's more a relief than these other bands. Band 2, I said 23,000. That's like 23,000. That's the money. That's how much the family earns to be placed in band 2. Now the government scholarship is 60%. the loan that that student is given, I think the loan cut across, the loan is 30% apart from band 1. So every other student is given from band 2 to band 5, they're given a loan of 30%. Now, the difference is the family, the contribution, the family, the household, what the family contributes. So, in band 3, you'll find that the loan remains 30%. The family contribute, I think, 15%. Then the government scholarship reduced to 40%. So, like, that's the flow of how this funding model is being implemented. Like from band 1, the scholarship is big. When you go to band 2, it reduces. When you go to band 3, it reduces. Band 4, it reduces as it goes. Then the loans, apart from band 1, band 2, 3, 4, 5 is the same. Then the household from band 1, from band 1 it's 5. Then band 2 it's 10. Then it increases like that up to band 5. But now the problem is, the placement of these students, that's where the problem comes in. Because now, when you place somebody in band 5 and they're not in position to pay that fee, then you see it will be very hard for people to afford to get the money to be facilitated in their courses. To be facilitated in their courses. And the most unfortunate part is that most of the students are being placed in band 4 and 5. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, we can
Hello?
get you. We can get you. Just wind up kindly.
Okay. So I think somebody who asked that question, I think they have gotten what I was trying to explain. So I'll go to the next thing. The marketability and the job in this country. Leave alone. In fact, we should not even reach there when we are very much sure that these students are not going to get out of university. They are not going to manage to pay that fee. Like, for example, in my university, before you sit for an exam, you must have completed your fees for that semester. Now tell me, this directive of the government that students should just go to school, like it makes parents very much relaxed in a manner that they take their students to school. By the time they are almost sitting to the exams, that's when the reality is going to dawn to them. And that's where they're going to struggle. That's where they are going to meet now the real thing we are talking about. Of course, today they're not understanding. And taking their kids to school free of charge is a good thing. But imagine that student is being taken to a university where the lecturers have not been paid because of, the government is not remitting. They are not, the workers have not been paid. The government is not releasing capitation for the universities. Poor services, poor accommodation, poor everything. Even if you're going to school for free, which is not for free, of course, you'll have to pay eventually. Now tell me, what kind of education, what kind of skills and knowledge are you going to get in such place? Like, for example, in my school, like everything is a total mess. And it's in public domain. And when a parent is going to take a child to a school, then they don't have any services, like everything is just a mess. Lecturers are not going to class. The workers have not been paid. Tell me what kind of services are going to be offered. Those are very substandard services, and in which we are very happy because we are going to school free. We are not talking about it. But previously, when we were having the other model, I think, okay, as much as we had complaints and everything, at least things were flowing. Things were moving, at least to some point. There was no difference between Mimi and Mtoto Minister as long as we are both in public universities. then we are very comfortable. We can be friends because we can meet Ivo Kabita. And one thing we should not forget is that most of the students, most of the children from of peasant farmers and those mamambogas are the people who are many in these public universities. People who have money, they have their kids in USIU, the Strathmore, and most of them are abroad. They are studying from abroad. So tell me, when these punitive things are coming to corner us, when you're telling me like my parent is earning 120, there have been taxes, they have been taxed, they have been taxed left, right, center. Now we are being placed as students in band 5 now to even make everything worse. And maybe they don't have one kid, they have several. It's a total, like, at least when you have something small, now they want to finish everything. Another thing we should not forget, in primary school, education is a tough thing, that, we are not understanding CBC. Come to high school, teachers are going on strike. In university, the situation is as it is. Now tell me, I think there is something to do with education. There is targets they are aiming. I can tell you for free, there is something amiss with education sector. Maybe it's my thinking. Maybe we don't want to have intellectuals in our country, because how can we frustrate the whole system of education from primary school to university? Why do you want to make education unaffordable for that common mwananchi that you're very busy telling us you're fighting for? And let me tell you, my fellow comrades, if you're not going to fight for ourselves, expect nobody is coming to your rescue. Because when people are in the meeting with the president, they were trying to do adjustments. It was not to be left aside. Nothing was agreed that we will do away with it. We will do adjustment. Me and you, who knows how our country operates, knows what it means. We know very well that hiyo ni mchezo tu, tutaambiwa tutulie alafu mambo ikuwe venye itakuwa. Watatuambia yes, tumeangusha the whole team only to bring it up not to replace. What do we call it? To bring the same thing. I don't know how I can call it. But we should be on a lookout, because things are going to be very messy. And if you're going to be very silent on this, trust you me, in the coming future, we are young people of this nation. And because you're young people of this nation, the older men, I'm not trying to say they're bad people, but they're done with what the good part of their life they were to live. And they are doing everything according to how they want, because their time is out. Like, we have 40 years plus to live in this country. And we are the young people who are going to bring up young generation. If you're going to mess this one, then expect to suffer even most. Because we have a government that does not listen to us. I'm very uncertain. I'm very, very sure that Kenyans does not want everything to be done to, 100%. We don't want perfection, but at least make it affordable. In fact, something like education is something that we should not even be debating on. If we really want a nation, and if we really need to keep on moving, and if we really want our Kenya, then we should forget about debating on education, and we should not compromise anything to do with education. Education and health are the topmost priorities that we really need to put in this country.
So
Thank you.
Nafula, you are a student leader, and of course, I saw the other day you guys were at the Kenya School of Government. Of course, you are speaking on the matter, the new university funding model. So, in your own capacity as the student leader, what are you guys doing to ensure that the government listens to you, to ensure that the students who are currently joining the university aren't affected negatively by the new university funding model?
Okay, thank you. You know, one thing I have to confirm to you that the meeting at KSG was not the first meeting with the PS. The first meeting we had, it was in March this year in Naivasha. And that was the first time this funding model was being presented to us as students, as the main stakeholders of this whole thing. That thing was put in place without any consultation. And of course, if really they were human enough to put such policy in place, at least they would have consulted students, not me as Mwangale, but at least other students who understand the complexity of being a student in a university. Number two, when we were in that meeting in March, we told the PS, you know, this thing and that one, we don't want it. Do away with band 345 because it won't be favorable to our parents, to our students. And of course, we question the authenticity of placement of students in these bands. And another thing, we wanted also to know what was the faulty in the previous model of funding that they would not even change so that they would, they decided to bring in this new other model. We didn't get satisfying answers. And we really felt that we were very much ignored. And that's what happened when we were in KSG. We told them, because you refused to listen to us, again, there is nothing that you're coming to convince us to accept this thing. Because the small changes we presented that we really wanted our students to, you know, to be comfortable, like, fine, as students' body, we decided that at least now that you have already put this thing in place, do at least 1, 2, 3 changes so that at least it can be bearable. They refuse to listen to us. They want to convince us to accept the whole thing, which is very wrong. At KSG, they decided to, again, to come and to continue luring us into accepting that thing. Before even the meeting started, it had already ended. You saw what happened. I'm very sure when you go to K24 that day, I'll try get that date so that you can go see the news. It was as clean as it was, as raw as it was. They refused, students refused that thing in totality, and they said tunanguka nayo, and there is no compromise about it. So, one thing I'll say is as Mwangale, and one thing I believe in, is that there is nothing that can be done to help these joining students to ease and to help them do away with these things. And the parents and, you know, the whole people who these things affect. Because the thing is already in place. And we cannot deliberate on, you know, changing 1, 2, 3. It's impossible because we have tried our best to do it. And I think the only remaining weapon we have is to reject it in totality. And because if you're going to say that you're going to sit on table for deliberations, then be very sure that you're going to fail. They won't listen to you. It has become a norm that nobody is going to listen, especially when it's for young people. And if they see young people struggling and suffering, I think that's what they like the most. We reject it in totality.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. So we reject it in totality. Of course, there is nothing that can never be reversed. If the Finance Bill 2024 was reversed by the power of the people, and then, of course, I just came to realize that the new university funding model has been in existence since last year, the last academic year.
Yes.
Yeah. Personally, me and Ochi, the person who is here as the speaker, we run cybers at the Technical University of Mombasa, and we have been applying for the funding, the scholarship for the students who joins for the first year. So I also agree that the new funding model is too oppressive, and you, the student leaders, should ensure that it's scrapped off completely. So thank you so much, Mangale, and I would like to get in touch with you. Then we can see the way forward. So let me just usher in, ask Ochi to
please.
okay.
Kindly a minute, please. Kindly a minute,
Okay.
please. Okay, there is something being planned. I don't know. I'm very sure you've heard that there'll be mass protest. That students, of course, I've seen a letter from UON. It's trending. It's on social media. That's when we decide to do it. I'm very sure I have student leaders, my fellow student leaders, and fellow students in this platform, and they're listening to me. Let it be one day. We should not say Moi University will have another day. I don't know, Mombasa. It should be one day for all universities. So, and let's fight, let's join hands. Msiseme ati unajua ni students peke yao. At the end of the day, we have brothers and sisters, and we come from families. So let's not leave this fight for a certain group of people. Please, let's fight together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm sure our listeners and speakers and even the host have heard about that, and yeah, we'll really come to help you guys. Personally, I'm also a student. So let me just usher in, ask Ochi, because I know he knows more about the new funding model. Ochi, just in 3 minutes, because we have a bunch of speakers here who really want to also air their views. Ochi?
Thank you so much, Marvin. Just in time, I was just about to leave for work. I've heard Mwangale speak, and I've really not gotten the exact message of what she meant by they were at State House to discuss adjustment. What are they adjusting to that new funding model? I didn't get it, and I can ascertain that she was trying to measure her words. But anyway, this new funding model is, I'm sorry to say this, but it is shit. It doesn't make any sense at all. Because even if you list down the criteria that's been used to award these bands, it still doesn't make sense, because a student comes, you apply for her or him, and this student happens to be a deceased single mom child. She gives you the death certificates. You key in the death certificate number. You upload the death certificate. She has all her birth certificates. And genuinely, for this student, you can predict that she will have a larger funding compared to wenzake, because of she's an orphan and so and mambo kama hayo. But at the end, anakutext anakuambia hebu soma hii kitu nimekuwa band 5. What does it mean? Na band 5 sisi wote tunajua band 5 ni wenye at least they are well off. So how can you prove to us that that criteria you umetuambia it's been followed? Yet this student alienda local school, alienda local secondary school, wachana na high school, alienda secondary school ya day. Yeye ni orphan. To upload all the requirements that the system requires, including death certificates. How will you prove to us that the criteria is not being used as you had explained? 2, mambo na atio ku adjust sijui mnafanya sijui adjustment sijui mna change sijui mna amend. Hiyo vitu, that is shit. Scrap that thing off kabisa. Sisi tulikuwa tunalipa 27k tukiingia. Other semesters tunalipa 19k. Na still hiyo 19k ilikuwa inatutatiza. You see, if you've come from a well-off family yenye hiyo 19k ulikuwa unalipa na you are okay. Kuna some families hata hiyo 19k kupata ilikuwa ni ngumu. Mimi ndo nakuambia. Saa hizi utaambiaje the same student mwenye anatoka kwa hiyo familia alipa 100k per semester? Itawezekanaje? Sitabaki, kila mtu atabaki home. Masomo sasa itabaki ya matajiri. In short, wanatuambia tunde jua kali, si ndio? So that matajiri wazidi kuwa matajiri. Bana, hii kitu ni ufala, hii kitu isikuwe scrapped off. Na hata saa hizi by the way mmejikanganya cause hata mkisema tuende hizo streets, wakati tumekuwa tukienda streets, nyinyi mmekuwa mkiitwa mkipoa chai, mkipoa sijui nini, hamjakuwa mkienda streets. Sijui mbona mko mnaenda streets. Nilikuwa naona the leaders wanatuambia we need dialogue, sijui nini. Sasa mnatuambia tuende streets. Bwana, hiyo kitu ikuwe scrapped off. Hata I lack words. Next time naingia kwa hii speaker panel, naenda ku dictionary nitafute the right words ya kusema hiyo kitu iende home.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ochi. Na ulikuwa unasema Honorable Mwangale try to measure her words. Jaribu kufikiria why trying to mean anapima maneno yake. Mwangale, do you have something to respond to Ochi before I give Jasuba and Farah the chance?
Okay, Ochi, can I have a question for her, then she can answer?
Okay, you can pose the question, Farah.
Please.
Mine is this true that you were given 25,000, and is the 25,000 worth causing your parents to pay over 100,000? Was it worth it?
Oh my God. Fine. Starting from where you started from, that we are rejecting this thing. When you go to my accounts, I call my name Mwangale Agneta on WhatsApp, on TikTok, on everywhere. You will always see me posting since the time immemorial, since when I was born, when I realized there is social media and everything. I can tell you for free, I was a victim of Mandamano, and I was also, I was in a mix. Let me measure my words the way you said. I found myself in a mix because I was fighting for my rights. And because I know where and how I'm supposed to act, and I know, as a learned person and a person who understands how everything is moving in this country, I never missed out to fight for the rights of my people and the rights of my generation and the generations to come. So please, Ochi, don't accuse me of that. Please, not me, maybe those other people. And of course, not everybody didn't attend Mandamano. And of course, not everybody who didn't attend are in support. That's what I can say. But for my case, please, you have to forgive me for that, because I played my part as a patriotic Kenyan citizen. Number two, is it worth 20,000 and 25,000? What? I was not in State House because I had some 1, 2, 3 issues kidogo. I lost a family member, and of course, that was the reason I was not present. And of course, because I believe I can stand for my own rights and I can speak for myself. I can tell you for free that even if I would receive or I will not receive that 25,000 shillings, I'll still press on that you have to reject this thing, not for my own sake, because it's not affecting me directly. It's affecting the people of my country. And let me tell you for free that in this country, you cannot survive with your family alone. We have friends that are even more important than those family members of ours. And that 25 shillings, of course, 25,000 shillings is not a measure for somebody to keep quiet, because I feel when you've been given 25 shillings, you are too cheap to be bought, very cheap, because people are going to squander millions and billions of money. And that's what you should be talking about, these other student leaders who are very silent because, I don't know, wamekuwa pocketed. That's a cry that you really need to air out and call out them so that they come and explain to us why they are silent on these issues when it's really pressing, when we are really seeing our parents crying outside there. So
Mongale,
It's not
Mongale,
worth
I'm
it.
sorry.
It's not.
Mongale,
It's not. Yes.
Mongale, I'm
Yes.
sorry for interrupting you. Now, my
Yes.
president, my
Yes.
president is
Who
a
is your
well-known
president, kindly?
activist
Who is your
from
president?
Technical University of Mombasa. He's called Elvis
I
Otieno,
know him.
Elias
Yes,
East.
yes, yes.
That's a well-known activist who never keeps quiet. Ngoja, Farah, ngoja kidogo. That's a well-known activist who never keeps quiet. But this time round,
Guys, it's Wanyama. Could we please practice turn taking kindly as we follow up on the conversation? Turn taking. That's now communication. Hii ingine ni kujibizana.
Okay. So, Ochi, continue with your question, because that question has also been itching me in my heart deep down. For Elvis Otieno, one and only beast from the Technical University of Mombasa, asking the students last Mandamano not to come out to the streets because they had been bribed by the county government of Mombasa. So, Ochi, ask your question.
yes, so that guy is well known for his activism, and he never keeps quiet when something goes wrong. And we were expecting him to be in the forefront to advocate for reject finance bill and occupy. But that time, he was telling us that we need to stay home. I don't know, we need dialogue. How can you prove to me that he wasn't bribed? It was very clear that they were bribed by the county government of Mombasa. And the whole TUMSA kept quiet and said people should not go on the streets. Alafu sasa saizi mnatuambia tuende streets. Mtatuprovia aje kwamba hamukuwa bribed?
Oh, am I allowed to answer Ochi? Okay, fine. Ochi, I'll speak on my own. I'll speak according to how I understand and what I understand. In my university, by the time we were having the finance bill protests, we didn't have students on session. And that's why you could not see most of us play activist part. Of course, we did at our own level on social media and everywhere, and we could post when we were in Mandamano already. That's what Mimi's Mongala used to do, because of course students were not in school. And if really the students were in school, of course, I'll be the first person to tell them it's not right. And of course, everybody knows that Gen Zs were out there. And of course, you cannot victimize me, yet millions of Gen Zs were outside there. It's very much impossible. I have a problem with these people who are being paid. Yes, you're a student. Ochi, I want to believe you're a student in Technical University of Mombasa. And it's not very right, you as even a person who really believes in the right thing, who really believes that students must be comfortable, and because now your leader is misleading you, now you just want to follow. Ochi, that's not the way to go. It's me and you who understand, and not these other people. When somebody is bringing in something that is not palatable, you should not keep quiet and be comfortable and say, President amesema. You as students, you have the power to come out and say no. There are only 7 members of the council. And of course, plus delegates home, of course, I don't know if in your school they are. But we only have 7 members of. Can you prove to me how these 7 members of the council are coming to convince the whole population? Yet you really know there is something amiss. And of course, Mimi, I'll continue telling you that we have to do this together. And we have to fight for this. And if we really mean it, and if we really have goodwill with our country, with the people, with the generations to come, then we have to do it. We have to go to streets. We have to.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mongale and Ochi, for your time. Of course, I've learned a lot from you guys. Being the students, and I'm also a student, I've really learned a lot from you. So let me give this chance to Jasuba. 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Wanyama help me to time, because
Okay, I will take less than 3 minutes. I will dedicate some minutes to the next speaker. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're speaking to Steve. I'm a student at Jaramogi Oginga University of Science and Technology. I'm currently going to fourth year. There's this one thing that is making me to be very, very in a worrying moment. In a case like me, I have deferred twice because of lack of fees. Lack of sufficient fees because we are paying 20,000 in semester 1 and 10,000 in semester 2. At this moment is when you are seeing other students are deferring. Right now, I'm seeing this student I applied for, there's a sheet for Ruto. Yes, and she has been placed in band 3. The student is very, very, very needy. The father does not have anything at home. The mother was dead. The father passed on 10 years ago. She has been placed in band 3. She's expected to pay 50,000, 57,000 in a year, 27,000 before joining. She's just worrying. How are we headed to this as a nation? This thing I want to speak about. We'll always elect these our leaders, the like of Onmangale. But these leaders decide to sell us. They decide to negotiate things on our behalf instead of our own things. The things they are supposed to talk about. When they are going to these meetings, they don't consult anyone. They just go there, they just speak. After going there, it's when they come back. They come back. We just see them on, in fact, yesterday I was just seeing them on KOT Sonko's timeline. I was just seeing them there. I'm wondering, how are these people doing for us? I can assure you, even those universities, yes, the universities administration, these people always support these student leaders in a certain way to always fight for these students. For example, when that matters to do with national funding, this funding model and the rest of the things, they're always on their back. Yes, I am a witness. I am a witness of this. But these people just go there, they do their own things. After doing their own things, they come back to us. And you see, for my case, for that flat rate, paying 20,000 was a very difficult task to me. What about right now? And what about right now where a student is expected to pay something like 40,000 in a semester, where others are even up to 100,000, those who are doing medicine? How are we headed as a nation? How are we headed? These are our leaders. Do you see us here? You should consult us. You should consult us before going to these things. I don't know about amendments. Amendments here. What are you going to do? Amendments and the rest. What are these amendments? One. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Niko na hasira. Acha tu ni nyamaze tu na hapo.
Asante sana Jasuba. I've grasped a word from you. Amendi chill. Sijui namaanisha niocha ataniambia huko ba. I mean na yeye ataniambia backdoor. Anyway, thank you so much. Can I have Odoki? Kindly, Odoki, niaje? Odoki has been responding here with the emojis. Saizi nakuita bana, you are just muted. Odoki.
Fred.
Okay, sawa. Aya. The ex-Kibra Member of Parliament candidate. Yeah? Daktari Owiti Owayo. Sijui umechange jina ya nini. Kulikuwa na jina ingine hapo safi, but you changed. Daktari, you have something to say?
To everyone here. I changed my name because, majority of people are wondering, what a doctor is this? What kind of a doctor is this? But I'm happy with the conversation going on here. Though I feel like we are overthinking as a people because I've been a student myself at the University of Nairobi. Of course, during our time, we had help where, you apply just like these bands, you apply. If you are coming from a poor family, based on the documentations which you present, they decide to give you a certain amount of money. If you are poor, they give you more. If you are rich, based on the documentations which you presented, they give you less money. In fact, at some point, they even deny you. Okay, during help, unaweza apply for help, lakini upati. Why? Because from their system, they can tell that you don't really need that money from their system. The only difference with this new model is that, as some previous speakers here have noted, is that you find a student from a very poor family is placed in band 5, which is supposed to be for those who are money, but those who are coming from affluent families. But this is my challenge to these fellows who find themselves placed in bands which do not really befits their economic status or their financial statuses. Okay. In our time, we used to go to help offices. We used to, you march to any help office around you. If in Kisumu, you go to Winam. If in Nairobi, you go to Anniversary Center. There are so many centers, help has actually remained help, but it's no longer help. It's something else now, but it's the same offices. So if you have any problem with the band you are placed in, I think the first thing that you should do as a student or as a parent is to visit the nearby offices, these offices, so that you present your documents and tell them that you advised us that we should, that if any person is poor, then it should not be, he or she should either be in band 4 or band 5. They should be in band 1. Okay. I think the new model is good. And I want to speak here not because I'm a sycophant of any regime, but the new model is good in the sense that if it will be made in such a way that those who are poor benefit the most, then that would be better. That would be better. Okay? Those who are poor should benefit the most. And that's why I asked Wanyama. Wanyama asked you some question there. That what are the pressing questions of the hour? Okay? Who is crying foul? If you see a rich person, okay, if you see a rich person in Kenya, for example, like Wanjigi, crying foul that he is rejecting the new model, the new university funding model, then you should ask yourself, is he really honest with himself? Okay? Because we have so many people like Ochi spoke here, I think some couple of minutes ago, and he said that being you study in a local school, like in a village school, which is generally a small school, CDF, NGCGF. Is that meant to cut me short?
30 seconds to go.
All right, fine. What I'm saying is this: if you have any problem with the new funding model, and if you applied for that that funding, and you find yourself in a different band which does not befit you, then it is better you go to the offices. Okay. This idea of these student leaders, they will not do anything, because I have been a student leader at the University of Nairobi. As we speak right now, there are no serious student leaders. These ones you see around here just walking around to get clout here and there. There is no serious leader who will go to the street and demand that Ruto drop this stuff. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Owiti. So, guys, I want to give Farah his 3 minutes, and of course, at 9 p.m., at 9 a.m., I'll be giving back the steering wheel to Wanyama. So, Farah.
Thank you. I think it was Mwangale who said that the new funding model was introduced to the student leaders in May. And we need people of integrity and accountability, because if they themselves told the government then this will not work for us and walked out, we would not be in this situation we are in today. But a lot of times, we never stand up to the occasion and take responsibility for the offices we occupy. Majority have these positions as ceremonious positions, but these are the same people who come and take over leadership positions in government and in the political realm as well. So, tafadhalini, we ask for accountability from other people, but we need to be accountable as ourselves sisi wenyewe. I disagree with Dr. Owiti when he says they should only go to the offices and try to get their names back to band one. It doesn't work that way, because we've clearly seen that we are dealing with people who do not have any remorse for us, nor do they have any care in the world for what happens to us. It is very clear that they are trying to make education for the privileged, because there's no way you can tell me somebody who's doing medicine without help or job has to pay almost 900,000 a year for 6 years. That's almost 3.6. That's over 5 million shillings. How does it make sense? The other thing is that it has gone under people's radar is the government is forcing children to be registered under the Social Health Insurance Fund, which is the SHIF. Him with your third term, they will not be admitted into school unless they are registered under their parents' SHIF, meaning their parents too now must register. And the courts ruled this as unconstitutional. So, tafadhalini, let us be quite a bit more vigilant. And everybody else who takes a position of leadership, take up the responsibility as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Afara. And of course, personally, I had already commented on the government requiring that students should register for SHIF when was it? Some weeks ago, of course, the court ruled that SHIF, the Social Health Insurance Fund, it was unconstitutional. So I wonder whether this government really obeys the court orders, because they have always been defiling it, and so they have always been defying the court order. So personally, I agree with you that the SHIF, as per the court order decision, it's unconstitutional. So I've been your co-host, K. Otis Sonko, and of course I go by the name Marvin Mabonga, and I've been here with you guys since 7 a.m. And so I want to give back the steering wheel to our host, Wanyama. So thank you so much, guys, and I'll be here to listen to you. Wanyama.
Yeah. So we are in the final hour of our conversation, and we'll want to do 40 minutes and then 20 minutes of Amapiano. It's Amapiano Friday. If you've been attending our spaces, every day we highlight a genre of music. On Friday, it's Amapiano. Yesterday it was Rumba. Sabu maisha ni mazuri if you take it a day at a time. Today is Amapiano. Personally, I don't enjoy Amapiano that much, but well, it's music that people listen to. So as we continue the conversation on new university funding model, nimesoma vitu mingi sana, and if there's something to go by is I'm happy that the youth are taking up this conversation. And that's the positive about all this thing, taking up the conversation and doing something about it. That's why I was silent in the background. So tuendelee na mwendo huo. I had seen Mwangale raising up her hand before I go to the next speaker, before I drop you from the speakers. What did you have to say in a minute? Agneta.
Yes.
I saw your hand up.
Yes, I am. Fine. Okay, it's a free nation and every other person is allowed to have their points and to have their views. But of course, when you really believe in something and if it sits very right, then you have to make it usable, to make it benefit other people. Sawa? And of course, we are very different. As much as Mongale, I can say this and that. Of course, somebody said I'm cloud chasing or something, but I believe in my word and I believe in what I'm saying. We have all seen how this government, the example is the finance bill. Can you tell me that hakuna mtu alipinga that finance bill? Everybody was on it. And what did it happen? Come to the CSS, the list of the CSS. They were dropped. Then what happened next? Didn't you go to the street to fight? And you're telling me, like, there is something that we have to get it to our minds and it should sink. Once bitten, twice shy. If we knew we messed somewhere, because now we are fighting on something, we are fighting against something, then we start fighting against ourselves, we are not going anywhere. If we are really focused to fighting the new funding model, Mimi and Wanyama should not come here and start fighting again. We are losing direction. Wacha tungoje fight zetu, tutafight baadaye, but let's focus on that one thing. Yes, that's what I wanted to say.
Thanks a lot. Let's proceed with the conversation. I see LL. I don't know where.
Hi.
Lalelave. Okay.
Hello.
Interesting name. How are you?
Thank you. Hi. Aki, I'm so pissed. The person who has made me join this thing is the Owiti guy, or don't know Owiti guy. Don't come here and tell us you don't know Kenya, how Kenya works. This is Kenya. Alafu unatuambia uende kwa ofisi complain. Nadhani utakorektiwa. And how many people should go to that office and complain? This thing should anguka. And a person saying because watoto wa university hawakutusaidia kwenda strike and shit like that, they were home. If they would have been here, wangetusaidia. This is a good opportunity for us to get out there and fight. Because tukiwapatia chance, anything we do, they just come back and wanafanya hizo vitu tena zinarudi. This is a good opportunity for us to go help these kids. I'm not a university student, nimemaliza. But it hurts me because education, Mimi, I'm so passionate about education. Education is our backbone here. And they're destroying it. Kama ni helbo ilikuwa mbaya, si wange improve too? Why scrap everything out? For what reason? Mi hata sielewi. Alafu you bringing Mkenya yupi anaweza lipa 200,000 school fee? Huh? Mkenya yupi who can pay 200,000? Kama si maybe 10% of us. It is really, really bad. And people we just need to wake up. Tusirelate na we help these kids because hata sisi wenyewe tutazaa watoto. By the time tuzae watoto watakuwa sasa wamefanyaje? Si itakuwa imefika million. Guys, hapana. Let's just come together. This is us. They are there, our political people. But we are here. And we need to push this. We help these kids. Mtu atalipaje hiyo pesa yote? Anyway, you guys have a good day.
Well spoken and precise, like the way we like it, short and sweet, even on our past points. Tevo.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Morning, thank you. Unazanisikia?
Loud and clear, go ahead. 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really sad that our parents has let us down. Our parents wanaona kama watoto wao hawana ID, wanapewa sijui maisha cards, watoto wao the fee increment in the university, and they are still quiet kabla occupy their nearest huduma centers. And I was surprised to see student leaders yesterday with the president. Actually, I'm very ashamed to say that my president, my took president met the president yesterday, and you can see what kind of leaders we have in the universities right now. So in today's newspaper, in Asema, parents have 3 days to register to shift to register their students to SHIF. Hii SHIF unajua vizuri bado iko kotini, has not been proved. The IMF policies are being implemented left, right, and center. Our education is under attack. Our food system is under attack. Health system is under attack with the SHIF. Wake up, Kenyans. Don't take those Mpox vaccines. We are Kenyans, and Kenyans is our business. Thank you so much.
Leo watu wameamua kuwa short and precise. I wonder why are we improving or what's happening? Are you here? Or you are listening to Rumba?
Hello, but it depends. Unaweza kuona sema vitu mingi, but it makes sense. But I've taken 2 minutes and I've spoken about the bad policies of IMF, the SHIF, the students walienda jana. Sahi the breaking news ni ati wazazi wameambiwa they have 3 days to register their children for SHIF. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Tevo. Keep coming to the spaces. I like when you come to speak. Kila siku kuna kuanga na banga. Gloria. Madam Gloria. Gloria A. Ooko. Going once. Gloria has never failed to speak. I wonder what's happening there.
Good morning, Wanyama, and everyone else on space. Mi kenye nataka kusema. First, if you hear anyone being mtu anakuja sijui ni Dr. What nini, if that person was a lecturer, watu wanakuja na matitles, wacha niwaambie lecturers kuja hapa wadanganyi because yao imewashinda. Nikiwaambia yao imewashinda, mjue tu penye imewashinda. August, hii ni tuko August. Mshahara hata ya July hawajapata. But when people are on the streets kwa hizo WhatsApp group tulikuwa tunawaambia support. Our children now are becoming indisciplined. It's becoming too. Ulikuwa unapata tu watu 2-3 ndo wanaongea. Yet this thing affects them. Not only as parents, affects them as workers, as civil servants. Why am I saying it affects them? The bulk of the money ukiona venye wamegawa, hata hiyo yenye wanaita band 1 ama nini, the bulk of the money is supposed to come from government. Government straight, kabla hata tuingie HELB as a parastatal institution, which also gets its money from government. Kabla hata tuingie hapo. But tunaweza sema maybe HELB ina collect pesa from loans za watu wenye waliingia before. So it could have some money. That government does not remit that money. Hata siongelee saidi ya student kama parent ataweza kulipa. That government does not remit that money. And if the bulk of that money is the government that is supposed to remit, which kind of doctor are you going to train when you don't have resources? Band 1 over 428,000 iko kwa at government sponsorship. Asipotoa hizo vitu za lab that you need, the equipment that you need for you to train as a qualified doctor, mwenye atatoka huko aende tu 1 year internship aweze kuwa anaweza tibu independently. Where will they get all those resources from? The other thing, universities do not have other sources of funding because all these years they've been into other businesses. They are not into research that can bring in grants. They're not. Wanategemea as checkers. Money to pay salaries, to pay what. So sa ile government I remit, wanakaa wanaangalia professors hawana pesa. So-called doctors, new doctors, so and so, hawana pesa. Those people are miserable as shit. They are very miserable. So hii kitu overhaul. Don't even look at it at the end. Are we going to pay fee? It's a ripple effect. Hivyo venye hawana pesa nini hawaendi class. They are very demoralized, a very demoralized lot. They are not going to class. So what kind of education are our children getting? What kind of education? People are demoralized. Wewe kama hauna mshahara, uko na jina, that social capital. People believe who ni lecturer, university lecturer. People call you professor. Yet you cannot make ends meet. You tell me, are you going to stay in school ukule hiyo jina, ama unaona wanaingia into other businesses, consultancy, what to make ends? And when they're in consultancy, when are they teaching? When are they reading thesis as a student? When are they mentoring students? Let me just, like, if you're a university student, I'm sure you know, or even just do an experiment. September, shule zikifunguliwa, if at all people wataenda shule, just do an experiment and go knocking on those offices. You won't find anybody. Someone will come to class, do their shit and go home. You won't find them. They don't hang around there. Akihang around hapo atakula hewa at the end of the day. Atasomesha watoto na nini? Moving now on directly now on the side of the student, ukiangalia hii kitu. This thing began last year. Now last year already you could see, because it's this same government that we're talking about that steals money, that loots, that puts money in every other nonsense other than basic needs, which should be, education is a public good. It should be, hizo ndo zinafaa kuwa priority. But hata hiyo finance bill 2024, what were some of the reasons why we were on the streets? See, because umeweka money kwa bibi yako, bibi number 2, bibi number 1, umeweka money everywhere other than in education. They had cut off feeding programs, they had cut off. You want to trust this same government that itaremit hizo pesa kwa university? Is that the same government we want to trust? So they will not remit those monies. And as I was filling that form for a niece this year, last year I didn't really much engage with it, but I knew there were students who were complaining, students were stressed, fee haijalipwa, sijui help haijatoa pesa. Students were really stressed. Wanaomba walimu, student anakutextia, oh mwalimu niokoe, mwalimu mwenyewe ndo anahitaji wokovu hata kukushinda wewe kama student. So it is a stressful, the university environment, very stressful environment. Hakuna masomo inaendelea kwa hizi Kenyan university. If you are a student here, Mabonga here, you're saying, you can attest. Mimi hakuna masomo inaendelea, hata high school ilikuwa better. Hakuna masomo inaendelea. Any proper masomo yenye tunasema ni masomo, hakuna yenye inaendelea. So hii kitu ya band 1, band 2, and somebody came here to lie to us at there are people who are rich. Wewe tu, jiangalie tu, just look besides you, behind you, in front of you. If you know any rich person. What do they mean by rich and what is the measure of rich? Aya, band 5. Niende kwa hiyo band 5 yenye wana claim rich. And remember, it's a bandwidth. At those earning between, sasa ukishaeka mtu mwenye ana earn between 100,000 on the lower and more can be 1 million, are those people the same? Mwenye ana earn 100,000 na mwingine more huko juu hata 2 million. Are they the same people? So even that measure is not scientific. Kusema ati huyu sijui ana qualify kuku. If on the lower end is 100,000. I have a sister mwenye sasa wako kwa hii ati band 5 lower end. Lower end, yes. Ya hiyo 100,000, 120. Uko na watoto wawili. Twins who are going to university at the same time. You tell me. For an engineering course yenye, fee tayari imeongezewa, double. Over 300,000 per year. Is that a rich person? Who ukiangalia ni rich person. The same form that I was filling did not consider siblings. Did not consider, yes, I could be earning that 100,000, but niko na watoto wangapi wenye nasomesha? Niko na watoto wangapi wenye wanasomesha? And how many children, even in this kind of community, wenye kwa familia, watoto wako 11 years, I'm talking about now generation X, millennials. Wangapi wako na kazi kwa household? Yenye unapata mtu mmoja ndiye ako na kazi, yeye ndo tena na take care of watoto wa sister. Do you consider that their nieces and nephews who are calling you a parent? Are we considering that? So ukisema watu matajiri, who are these matajiri people? Hizi vitu za bans should be, because hii ni Africa, my friend. This is a welfare society. We are not in Europe where you say kama ni hii household ni household. There's nothing like a household at nuclear, baba, mama, watoto. In Africa, in this Kenya, hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hiyo ni kudanganyana. How many people are you supporting even as an uncle? How many, apart from your own children? So that method is very flawed. And if you are to say rich, whatever, let us call for universal education, where everyone is equal. Why? Because the differences have already been taken care of at the point of paying taxes. It's called pay as you earn. Already mwenye ana earn 2 million, alishalipa extra as they earned. They already paid. So hiyo pesa yote yenye inakuwa collected, vitu zenye ni public good kama education should not, hatuwezi anza sasa bandwidth. And that is what other progressive societies are doing. Finland, where education is free paka university, already unalipa. Pay as you earn, as you are earning. So that should take care of every other thing. Si kuweka watu kwa bandwidth, and yet there are very many unique issues that we are not. Naan 120, naan 300. Niko na watoto wa 10 nyuma yangu. Kuna mwingine ana earn 50. Maybe tu ni huo mtoto mmoja. I mean, what measures are we using? That thing is flawed. And if there's any lecturer here, anybody worth their salt, you will join these students. Muache kuteseka, muache kulambana tu matako kila siku, mkiangalia kwa WhatsApp the things that they say, kulambana tu matako. What are you afraid of? Mnaogopa nini?
Finalize, Gloria, finalize.
What are they afraid of? Everybody should join hands. This thing is a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. It will affect everybody, not just the student. It affect kizazi kijayo. It is affecting everyone. All of us should join hands and call for universal education. After all, watu wamesha pay as they earn. After all, 15 billion zinapotea kwa citizen. Hii citizen yenye inaweza cover hizi vitu. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Gloria. I could feel your pain.
Wanyama.
Oh, wait, we follow protocol. By the way, nitakudrop too, because kuna behavior zingine we don't tolerate in this space. Turn taking. When you come to the speakers panel, you'll be given your chance and your minutes to finish. Tafadhali, let's just have some little camaraderie as we progress with the conversation. I had to bring in Melanie, if you can hear me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melanin, and I have been in the teaching profession for about 15 or 16 years now. And when I look at the university, the new funding model for the university, I foresee it's going to face the same challenges as what the free secondary education, the free basic education has faced. I'll give an example because I teach the secondary level. Now, you find that the government the learners, for example, I'm in the day school, and the learners there are supposed to pay about 6,000 for lunch. And the government is supposed to pay about 22,000 shillings for capitation. But when this government came in, they reduced the capitation to 17,000 per child. But this money haikuji on time. And I'll give an example. As we were closing second term, bado pesa ya term 1 haikuwa imetumwa kwa mashule. And you find that as per now, the schools are struggling. Hakuna resources kwa mashule, hakuna chakula, there's nothing. Suppliers hawako, hawalipwi, so they're not supplying anything. So now when I look at this model, and I see the government saying that the students should pay a certain amount, and then the government will pay the rest. I see this affecting how the universities will work, because these universities run on the money that is paid by these students. And you're going to see a high dropout rate that is going to happen because most students will not finish the education. Same thing that is happening in the secondary level. Most students, majority of the students don't complete high school. I'll give an example with my class. In my class, when the Form 1s were admitted last year, I had 60 students in my class. But right now, I have about 35. The rest have dropped out because their parents cannot even afford to pay that 6,000. Hiyo ya lunch, hawawezi afford, haiko. And when it comes to the university, I see the same thing happening. And when you try to speak it out with people, many people don't understand this funding, how this funding model will work. And I was telling someone yesterday that this funding model is going to affect so many students. Hawatamaliza kusoma. Na education, itabaki for the rich. And I was giving her an example of me. In the next 8 years, my child will be going to university. And she wants to do a medical course. But ninaona niteko kwa band 5. Mimi mwenyewe, nikiona hiyo band 5 and the shenanigans that is happening with this funding model, I feel that my child will not get the best out of this universities huku because one, the lecturers hawatapata pesa, they will be demoralized, hawataenda shule, hawataenda classes. So my child will get a raw deal. So I feel that this university model should be dealt away with. There was nothing wrong with HELB. Because with HELB, if, for example, mzazi wako wanaona, like, for example, you guys are a bit able, yes, utalipa excess fee. Utaekwa, for example, kama unafanya medicine, utaambiwa labda ulipe 25,000, whatever a HELB student, a JAB student who is needy analipa. So, nyinyi wote mnaekwa almost at the same level. There was nothing wrong with HELB. I think what they would have done, they would have just improved on it instead of doing away with it. Mimi, e-funding model, the new one, apana, it is going to lead to a lot of people not acquiring the basic education, and it is only going to remain for the rich. And not forgetting, again, the lecturers, they'll be demoralized, hawatafunza na watatoka. And universities are not going to run, especially public universities. Hizo zitaoka. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a nice dog you have there. Aguko.
Yes, Wanyama. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you too. 3 minutes.
Yes, I just want to speak as on a perspective of a Kenyan. I just want to pose some questions. How can a government start constructing a house from the middle of the wall without laying a proper foundation? That is one. Second question. When they were doing this grading and whatever, do they know that? Did they do an analysis of the backgrounds where these people are coming from? Where did they collect a statistics or a data that shows that this person is coming? Because you can say that they are doing all these things concerning your transactions or whatever. Do they know that most of those people who are transacting, they are the people who are sometimes supporting their families? That is one. Secondly, that is the second one. Third one, when the government is running all these things, first of all, the money which are being collected in form of tax and pay and everything. We collect tax every day when we purchase things and things of sort. Where are these monies going? Let us not live beyond our means. If the government wants to run this country properly, with all these things which are happening, with introducing new things each and every now and then, let them minimize the wastage and put the money in appropriate places. Because you can't tell us that you can't fund universities, yet, or secondaries or primaries, yet you are printing new currency, which we don't need at the moment. How can you go into your house and then watoto wanalala nje na unanunua TV? We ni mzazi aina gani? Si lazima watoto washibe kwanza ndio watawatch TV. So the things which government are doing, including, I was forgetting, is the government really following the kind of constitution we have, or they have their own constitution. If they have their own constitution, let them publish it to us so that we know that they have their constitution and we have ours. Because the court can't rule that you are not supposed to be doing this, or you keep it at a hold first before we know the way forward. And yet you are still going to the media and publishing things that is against what the court said. So if they have their own constitution, let them provide it to us so that we know that the government is operating under this constitution, which is different from us. Thirdly, lastly, let them deal with corruption at their own levels first. Because you've seen all around, monies are being placed everywhere without knowing whether it is going to work or not. As at per now, we are falling as a nation. Why? Misappropriation. They take money to projects which don't get finished. Our lives will remain the same. It will not go up because the project never finished. It will remain the same. But when that project would have finished, somebody somewhere could have an employment with a better salary so that we can support their things which they are introducing every now and then. But with this kind of situation, there is nothing to support. Thank you.
Thank you too. I want to go to no ID. Hey guys, majina mko nayo huko. Click on. Going for the second time. Click on third time. Okay. Tevo, you had your hand raised before I go to Owiti.
Oh, yes. I'm in the university, so I wasn't keen of what's going on. Like, I was surprised to hear about band 1, band 2. When wanaingia ndo wanajua hizo vitu. Sijui band 1, sijui hata hizo ni nini. So hata jana ukisikia Mbadi akibonga kuhusu JCC teachers, he said very well that hakuna pesa zao wase. So unajua wazazi wakioccupy nini Huduma Center hawezi wakatritiwa venye jenzi utritiwa. So wazazi kama uko hapa, we occupy everywhere. Asante.
Thanks, Tevo. Now, to clear, for anyone joining us right now, to be clear what those bands refer to. The official communication shows that there are 5 bands. Band 1 is for the extremely needy, and Mwangale, Mwangale clarified and said that is the one for 5,000 income, 5,000 Kenya shillings and below. So extremely needy. But the official communication says it's students who receive 70% scholarship, 25% loan, with the family contributing only 5% of the fees. Band 2, the second band, it's 60% scholarship, 30% loan, and the family contributes 10%. So across board, except from the needy students, there's 30% loan. Band 3, it's 50% scholarship, 30% loan, and the family covers 20%. Band 4 is 40% scholarship, 30% loan, family pays 30%. And band 5 is the highest income, where it's 30% scholarship, 30% loan, and family contributes 40%. What I have been listening to speakers saying is this: even with this banding, it's not transparent because some are being placed in the wrong bands. So unapata mtu mzazi ana earn 25,000 na neko kwa band 5 where it's high income, atatoa pio 200,000. You see? Then the scholarship as well, it's not transparent. The loaning is not transparent. But there's also some part where the family has to cough up money. And that's where kizungumkuti kiko. Because most of the people going to public universities cannot afford it to pay cash. That's why it's a public good at the moment. But since last year, kumekuwa na mchezo wa town. Anyway, Dr. Witi, it's not your chance.
Yes, Wanyama, thank you so much, my brother, for bringing me back again here. I just wanted to respond to some of the claims here. The previous speaker, Aoko, and the other ones. When you lose your ID, when you apply for the identification card, when you apply for ID, at the very first time. And then your ID comes back with erroneous information. For instance, in your naming or in your district of birth. What do you do? What do you do? You go straight away to the registrar of persons, offices, right? As you've noted here, bro, majority, you've said that some, you used the word some of the students applying for this funding, they find themselves in bands which do not befit them. Okay, somebody is poor, as you've noted, somebody is earning 35,000 a month and is required to pay 200,000 as part of family contribution to the education of the child. This person have the obligation to present documents. They have obligation. For example, if you are claiming that you are poor or that you are an orphan or being raised by a single parent, it is only fair that you present your documents, like the death certificate. You ask us, you go with the certificate, and then you tell these officials that, you know, I was placed in this particular band. My dad died, my mom died, and here are the certificate to show that actually I am not able to pay this amount of money. That is the first thing that we should do. And then if this fails, then we go to the next level where we talk about protest as well. You know, protest is the language of the unheard. If you speak against oppression and nobody listens, you have the right to picket as enshrined in our constitution. So that is the very first thing that we should do. I schooled at the University of Nairobi. And at the University of Nairobi, we have a department under the Office of Dean of Students. And the Office of the Dean of Students is mandated with the honors of identifying needy students, despite having been placed in whichever band or whichever amount of money that you're required to pay as part of your contribution. The Dean of Students has the obligation of identifying every student in each and every department, okay, who are needy, okay, and then they are helped to pay that amount of money. That is another option. So if you're studying in a university, the very first thing you should do as a student leader, you're fighting. Yes,
this
bro.
is Wanyama.
Yes,
I was also in the. Let me ask you. You know, in Sauti ya Mwananchi, we really like factual things. I was also in the University of Nairobi. Okay. Now, when we speak about the deans, every school had a dean. Do you agree with that? Do you first agree with that?
Yes, bro.
Yeah. Now, my dean was at a building called Mahatma Gandhi Wing. If you're University of Nairobi, you should know where that wing is, right? Now, we used to go there, even for missing marks. My guy, do you know how long it takes to even get you to be accepted in class? Because you've paid through HELB. Ukamaliza, HELB is not as efficient as it used to be even back then, which was not efficient at our time. Now you can imagine. Now, the model, the way it was, is this. You cannot get accommodation at SWA, that's Student Welfare Authority, before you clear with what? School. Now, for the finance to clear you had to go through the dean's office. After the dean's office, I can even tell you people who are working in the dean's office 5 years ago. There's a guy there who was very rude and all that, called Peter. In the dean's office, there, front office, wanakuanga 2 secretaries there. The queue is amazing. And I'm saying amazing by purpose. You write a letter. Let me now tell you the process of declaring yourself as a needy student, because we've been in public universities. You queue crazy amount of hours. And mark you have classes. You'll have to skip some of them. You queue because there's a big number of people. After you get there, only to be told, write a letter and address it this way. You write a letter, 2 copies. One, you leave them there. The other one, they stamp it for you. They say, come after 3 days to check the response to it. Hold on to that one. You finish. That letter is just placed there on the table. To who it is going to go, you don't know. After you finish that, 3 days down the line, you come. If you are very lucky to get to Peter and whoever is there, that's those secretaries who feel like they run the world while they are messing up with students' education. You finish, you go, after 3 days, you get there. That person has not taken that letter to the appropriate office. And if you become rude, is when now he or she, depending on whoever you get that day, at that desk. But Magandhi second wing, go far right. You will go and get that office up to date because nothing changes in that university apart from VCs and deputy vice chancellors. When you now make noise, they take you to the VC's office. You go to the VC office, hakuna kitu anakuambia. Anakuambia hata mimi niko na look at that bunch of paper next to his desk. And ni ukweli unaziona. It's a huge pile that is there. Now he tells you ameweka kwa hiyo list. Check on your portal because bana hiyo portal inaitwa smis.unby.ac.ke. I even cram it up to today. Unaenda unacheka hapo response hakuna. Meanwhile you're not attending classes because reflection ya fees haijatokezea. And if umekuwa kichwa ngumu ukapigana na security unaingianga classes or umetumia credentials za mtu mwingine kuingia classes, your attendance is not being marked. This is the plight of a needy student and you keep waiting and waiting and waiting. The only way your finances were being recognized on time is you pay cash. Then when help comes, you don't pay. But there is an 8,000 that used to go to help. To university directly from help. Most of the people who finished University of Nairobi finished with credits. Why? Credit balances. Why? Because they used to struggle to get cash pay on time because that's how it is structured. The university favors cash payments. So hii maneno ati sijui enda kwa ofisi fulani utasaidiwa na nini, that's on paper. That's on paper. Tuache hiyo story ya ofisi Owiti. That's on paper. Needy students.
My brother, it depends with the persons you are dealing with. I think currently, I think you left when Father Wamugunda was the Dean of Students. Of course, he was very arrogant, but we've had a change of leadership in that office. We have a very nice Dean of Students currently, Dean Kinywa. And so this trickled down to, of course, other universities. If you're studying at JQuat, you should first thing that you should do is to ensure that you remove out of office. You demand that any person who is not serving you right, any person who is mistreating you because of his position is removed out of office. That's the first thing. So it is personalities as well.
Wait, tuache kudanganyana. I beg to disagree. I always give everyone time, but let's be logical. Let's pick practicality. Easy office, no matter how good you are, these offices will strangle you. Public offices in universities can strangle you, no matter the university. Ikwe University of Nairobi, bado tuko na relatives in those schools. JQuat, bana, Juja boys, anyway, acha nisiongee. Because I also have stories about there as well, up to today. So tafadhali, tusiongee about it, sijui tukazane kwanza tuangalie about how to remove these people from office. They have been changing. Wamugunda had a scandal with Martha, etc., Martha Karua and all that. He was pushed out. Wakaleta mwingine. Same story. So please, manze, tuache your story. I really want us to progress in the conversation. Let's not push the masses to believe other things that are not realistic enough. I love realism and practicality, but kuna ingine ni stories za jaba. Kuna some offices, they have not been empowered enough to do much. Ni ngumu. Me, I've just told you about my dean showing me a huge pile of papers there of needy students. Hajaongelea wale wenye wanataka kudifaa, wenye wanataka sijui what. Hey bro, tuache your story. And with that, allow me to go to the next speaker because hiyo tutakuwa tunadanganya watu. Tribeless.
Hey, good morning, Wanyama. I'm fired up because what Owit is trying to say is making us live in that reality that we imagine things. When you get to the ground, things are actually really different. They hit different. Because ukisema sahi ati that is the process we are supposed to follow ati ukipata ID yako iko na shida. My ID has a problem because they gave me a wrong spelling for my name. Kwenda kuchange nimepitishwa maofisi, I'm being told to pay something. Like these processes sound good when they're on paper, but when you're going through that process, it will tire you to the core. As in utachoka. Let's just look at the thing they used to call bursary. Bursaries used to be given to people who don't even belong to that category. It's just like the highest bidder gets it. When you do meteseka hapa, you don't even have a bob. You don't get that money. And somebody who has like a bit of money, they're able to support themselves. Wanapata your bursary. So these bands and nonsense they are saying, trust me, kuna mtu utapata they earning more than 200,000, but utampata kwa hiyo band one. Trust me. And anything goes in this Kenya. We should base ourselves kwa sababu baada ya hii kitu imelaunchiwa and it's working. Ile scandal itakuwa after 1 year or 2 years. Tutapatana tu kwa mkutano tukiambiana pole, shika maji kunywa, maisha inakuanga hivyo na tuendelee. It's people like Dr. Witi. We are still having problems implementing things that we have always wanted because wanasema we give this time, we don't want to give time. We want something that is practical and working. We know we are not better as a country, but we need to do small changes within what we have been using to make it work, not bring something new that will cripple everybody to their knees. People who are needing that money, they don't get it at the end of the day. So, sahi hata ukiangalia walimu wenye wanagoma, JSS, there is no money to pay our walimu, but there is money to print new notes just for the sake of adding signatures. What a fucking country. Anyway, nimechoka. Out.
Sorry, Chief Economist.
Hi, Wanyama. The last speaker has just reminded me of a situation I had when I was doing my secondary school, where you would find that you are applying for a bursary, but the details in your mother's ID are the ones being used to determine if you'll get that bursary. And this is basically an issue that is in all government ministries. These people will judge according to the information they have. And the current university funding model is no doubt a very, very controversial model, because one of the arguments is that they are using something called, I think, MTI to judge who gets to what band. And if you check, actually, before I get into that, these bands, the first and the second band, have been weakened. If you check the classifications of the students who have been in the first and the second band, which basically I think they claim people are paying 5% and 10%, those bands have very little, very small numbers of students. So that is one issue with the banding. Now, the next issue, they're talking about creating this banding through something they call MTI. MTI, if I'm not wrong. And the MTI basically takes a few parameters and sort of looks at these parameters to determine which band you'll get into. Now, the biggest parameter when it comes to decisions to do with what you're supposed to pay, your expenditure, is income. Now, 70% of Kenyans are in the informal sector. How will you determine the levels of income of an individual who does not have a payroll? 3 million people in our workforce. Our workforce ranges to almost 10 million people. But only 3 million people are formally employed. 3 million thereabout. So how will you use that factor of income to sort of determine who goes where? This information is scattered, it's nowhere to be found. So these are some of the issues with this model. And also something else I really don't understand, how did fees for students go all the way up to 124 a BA? What is happening to our education sector? How did it go all the way up there? Because I remember my days, we used to pay for parallel, we call them parallel students. They used to pay around 60,000. I think that is per year. For us, per year, we used to pay 30,000. HELB used to pay around, it was reduced by then, it used to pay around 37,000. And you are now, because of now, sort of what we call your own personal expenses, you had to use the 7K on top and also add some few amounts there. It was a very, very fair model. Why did the government see it fit to change this model? But I will tell you something, and this is what has been happening in many countries, basically in Africa, and the entry of IMF. And if you even listened to Mbadi yesterday, he was talking about the conditions of IMF. And one of the conditions of IMF is that you have to make sure you show the potential to pay your debts. Now, showing the potential to pay your debts basically boils down to two things. One, you tax more. Secondly, you don't pay for social infrastructure or social services. So social services sort of become privatized, and this is what's happening in the education sector in the new funding model, because loans now will be higher for students. Even if you are in which band, the loan you are getting compared to the loan that we were getting before will be higher. So government is continuously sort of withdrawing from social services each and every day. Is it
finalized, Chief?
Thank you. Is it shift? Is it the new funding model? This is what is happening. And if we allow this trend to continue, we'll have Kenyans paying for each and everything that they use. So we really need to make sure that we have our voices heard and make sure that this model is revised, because it won't help anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm going to Weston. Weston, how are you?
Hi, Wanyama. I'm okay. And you?
I'm also well. 3 minutes, kindly, strictly.
Thanks, Wanyama. Wanyama, I want to ask you one question. What it is? I don't want you to answer me. You can think about it. What it is that you learned at university? Among the many things I learned is that I'm suspicious of people who carry titles. Doctor, PhD, engineer, lawyer, expert. I'm very suspicious of those people. And especially in the Kenyan context. Why? Because those are people who reinforce oppression and dictatorship in Kenya. Yes. Yeah. Look at even the Kenyatta government. Most of those cabinet ministers had schooled at Alliance High School. And the destruction that we are facing, those people put it in place. They did. But when you listen to us, we tend to lay great premium on credentialism. This is a professor, therefore they're qualified. This person is a PhD holder, therefore is qualified. But you can listen to some of the things Owiti is saying. Honestly speaking, he lives in an alternative universe. So when it comes to this funding model, I can tell you one thing from my perspective. Kenya can afford universal education. It can afford. There's a lot of money that's going to West. The government can put this money in a kitty, and every other Kenyan child, person who wants to go to school will access education from grade 0 to tertiary. But they will not do it. And so when they don't do it, they make us spend time the way we're doing. Doing what? Trying to make sense of something that is illogical. Trying to make sense of something that's nonsensical. You can't. You can spend your entire life trying to make sense of something that's illogical. You will not. You won't. I rest my case.
Okay, hata dakika mbili ijaisha. Asante sana Westin. Short and sweet. Now we're going back to Gloria before Mwangale comes back. Gloria, dakika tatu.
Thank you very much. Mimi nimerudi just because I was mentioned by Dr. Witi. And if Dr. Witi, if you are a lecturer, let me just say, nyinyi ndo wale watu mnatuangusha. I am ashamed, even on your behalf. Niko sure mali huko una mshahara. Because I've seen all those memos going rounds, saying, hatujapata capitation, hauna mshahara. I put it to you, prove me wrong, hauna mshahara. So for you to be this reactionary, sijui Kenya inaelekea wapi. And then you gave a good example. I'm even shocked that you'd use the worst example ever, sincerely. Unaongeaje juu ya ID? Hukuona professor akipiga kelele about IDs and passports just the other day, that IDs tena unaongelea about correcting something yenye hata tu kutoka ni ngumu. Wewe niambia, how long will it take for it to be corrected? And if you live in this Kenya, unajua wazazi, watu wengine hata wamesoma, wameishi na manyanya, wameishi. You want to tell me yule mtu ako mashinani atajua which office to go to complain about bandi yenye mtoto wake ameweka? Kama sisi wenye tuko Nairobi, wengine wetu won't even know where to start. Do you want to tell me, will that person simply just give up aseme, mtoto wangu, mjukuu wangu, mimi sina hii pesa? Ama unadhani watakuwa na fare, watapanda gari, wataenda kutembea kwa maofisi kupiga laini to ask for correction? Where will they start from? Nyinyi ndo wale ma lecturers mnatuangusha. 90% of lecturers in this country, so-called lecturers, wanatuangusha. It's from university where ideas should come from. It's from universities where voice of the voiceless should come from. It is from universities that people should speak truth to power. But wewe, it seems you are sleeping with the enemy. Please change. Come to the right side. Change.
Asante sana Gloria. Mwangale.
Yes, I'm just, I don't know. I'm not happy though. Okay, on the same note.
I can't hear Mwangale.
Can I?
Someone.
Am I?
Let me bring back Gloria tuambie.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Mwangale, can anyone hear Mwangale?
Hello?
Tony,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear her?
She's loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
fine. On the same note as Gloria, I was to ask about this. Like, we cannot lie. I don't want to keep on repeating something that you are not grasping, Bana. Let's be fast learners, as I know Kenyans are. You cannot tell me % of the population of this country are the people who are poor. And the remaining %, those are people who are very rich. Gloria asked, not Gloria, I don't know who was Gloria or somebody asked, can you show me a rich person in this country who is living next to you? They are not. Rich people are not, I don't know where they live. How can you place 15% of the whole population of students who are joining university, 15%, and leaving the 85% of the people, placing them in band 5, knowing that okay, expecting that all of them are coming to visit the offices so that they can be rebanded. It's not logical, Bana. Let's make sense. We should not be wasting time here even listening to such things. We know very well that it's impossible. It cannot happen. And of course, can you tell me who is speaking about the dean? Somebody right now, these students, most of them, I don't know, a good number have joined already. Some are still at home. They have applied, they have been banded, they're at home, they're waiting to come to school. The banding, they have been placed, have been confirmed to them. Now tell me, how are they going to come to the dean or the dean's office so that they can start the whole process and the whole thing? Is that not nonsense? But now let's speak truth, let's be realistic. And we know very well that the government knows what it's doing, because if government will convince me that 50%, now let me put 50% people in band one, then the other two at least share the other bands, then at least it could be more reasonable. But 15%, not even 20, bana, to watch your jokes. Another thing, we can see somebody like, for example, because your teachers, the education cost. Unapata, ndo tunasema at least it's much cheaper. It's much cheap. Fine. Mtu mwenye ako band 5 or 4, these people are paying more than 50,000. More than 100,000 kama wako nini, course yao ina take around 240. Most of them are paying more than 100,000. Tell me, mtu anapay 100,000, yes. Ataenda kukua intern analipa 17,000. Is it worth? After there, ametamak for like other 10 years. Na sahi hakuna walimu wanaandikwa kazi. Tunaambiwa GSS hakuna pesa ya kuandika the teachers when you're mandiko, they cannot be absorbed in permanent and pensionable. And we are busy here lying to ourselves like we can, what can we do? And we want to give time. Do we still need to give time to such a government? Are we going to 17,000? Somebody has paid 100,000 for a course, only to come to be paid 17,000, of which tax imetaxiwa yote. All of it. And you can't tell, okay, let's reason in a manner that these mtu ametoka university, mostly maybe around 5 years, seme kama ni mingi, 5 years mtu maybe they're not even decided to marry or settle in marriage, but at least a good number utapata now wameanza to have kids. That 17,000 akona mtoto.
Malizia mwangalia.
Yes, akona mtoto. They need to provide for them. And of course, maybe they are firstborns. They also need to take care of their siblings. But now, when you're given chance to speak, let's speak sense and let's be logical, because most of such people are the people who are making us to drag behind, because they don't want truth. They know the truth, yes, but they don't want to listen to it. They don't want to accept what's the reality. I'm very sure that these are the kind of people who have been given 50,000, which they cannot even pay their rent for 2 months. And they are busy here telling me that, we can give time and, we can go sijui where. Bana acha ujinga. Oh, thank you. Hello, Kelty. Can you hear me?
Wah, kumewaka. Thanks, Mwangale. And I have a new speaker. Who's James here in this space, but he always attends. George Manyali, let me hear from you. See, but we are top of the hour. Tumemaliza. George, can you hear me?
Yes. Wanyama, how are you?
I'm good. Give us what your thoughts are in 2 minutes.
Great. I will just refer the members here to check on my pinned tweet on what I've done on this funding model. I think we need to rethink as comrades. I teach and I know what we are going through. So I have details on that pinned tweet and I refer to members to look at that. For now, Wanyama, thank you.
Okay, asante sana. Mwangali, I see your hand, but I can't hear you. Okay, go ahead and speak in less than a minute.
Okay.
A minute.
Maybe I want to insist on one point again. Like, can you really think about mtoto amekuwa placed in band 1 this semester and next semester? The following year, they're being placed in band 5. Banally. Let's try to see the logic. Say a parent is comfortable in band 1. They are paying fees in band 1. Next time, these students anakuwa shifted to a different band. For example, tuseme School of Medicine, mtoto sasa analipa 50k. Akishiftiwa to band 5, they are paying more than 300k. That's something that you are putting a blind eye on, and it's going to affect us a lot. Please, let's think about this one. Thank you.
Okay. MMS Square, before I come to you, Owiti, tumalizane na in less than a minute.
Okay, thank you so much, Wanyama. I'll be very short. First of all, I want to clear the air. You guys, you should know that Dr. Wit is not a doctor. He's just a former goon in UN. Anakuja hapa kujifanya he's a doctor. He's not a doctor. I know him very well. He's just a former goon. So he's not a doctor. Your title si yake, and he knows that. So, ile tunataka kuongea about this funding model, guys. I also want us to think from this perspective. Hii ni wizi inafanyika. Because you can't tell me, mtu alikuwa analipa fees 28,500, sasa alipe 226,000. We have an excess of more than 180,000. I don't know what this excess nenda kutengeneza in those schools. I don't know what new thing hii 180,000 nenda kukuja. So personally, I tend to think that in wizi, these are budgeted corruption, especially your party scholarship. I think these are in wizi nafanyika. So you guys, let us tell people to come out. Or you have a group of goons, tell them to come out. I know you very well from your own politics. Our student leaders, we need to mention their names. We have their numbers. Let us call them out. And also you guys, let us join the University of Nairobi. Wakati na demonstrate on 2nd September. Hiyo ndio tunataka kuambia. That's the only message nimekuja kuambia. Let us join this university because I think that's the only university in their leaders haven't been compromised by Charlene. So let us come out. Let us fight for the people who are the poor. Because this funding model, it even chase away the investors. Luckily, me and Joshua Okayo happen to be one of the beneficiary of a foundation, into a Higher Life Foundation, whereby it pays school fees for university students. And we are part of their pilot study. And according to them, walisema, they are not going to continue with funding in university students. Nakumbuke walikuwa wanalipa the ile school fees ya kitambo because they said education in Kenya is very expensive. Now I wonder now wakati imefika 226,000 what they will say. So you guys, let us support our brothers and sisters on Nyako campus. Let us come out because if funding model, not only is it denying people kusoma, pia watu wengi watapata even these scholarships. Because if an organization couldn't pay 28,500, claiming that it was expensive, now you can imagine about more than 200,000. Watu wengi wanaenda kukosa education. For us, we were lucky at least tukasoma through that masomo yenye ilikuwa cheap and affordable. So let us come out in large numbers. Wakati yoyo natoka, let us come out in large numbers. Akina Keoti na Wanyama, I want you to continue spreading this message kwa hizi spaces. Let us come out in large numbers, manze. Jumanze watu wengi wanaenda kukosa masomo, manze. I saw someone being called to do medicine bana. Jama is ended because of school fees bana. Like in kitu ya kuzunisha. I think this guy amekuja sana. Now what is happening here, guy, I can tell you, just like Goldenberg scandal, in new funding model, it's going to be one of the biggest scandal. Hakuna mtu ataku account for your pesa za school fees, hizo za scholarship, I mean. It's going to be one of the biggest scandals in Kenya. I can tell you that for sure. Because you cannot justify an increment of more than 180,000. Unataka kutengeneza nini? Kwani anataka kutengeneza UN kwa Harvard? Anataka kutengeneza campus huko Masinde Muliro zikwe Harvard. Hiyo pesa ni ya nini? We should also start questioning about that because more than 180,000 excess hiyo hapana. So you guys, let us come out in large numbers. Let us support the University of Nairobi because that's the only university mwana at least memo ya call student out to the street. University ine sijaona. So let us support comrade. Let us support our small brothers. Let us call out these student leaders wenye wanakuwa compromise the mayor 25,000 pesa hata hizi lipa one bedroom in Nairobi. Let us try to support them and let the message stand there. Fees must fall. That's the only thing itasema. Na wewe Dr. Witu acha kudanganya watu, you are not a professor. Wewe ni good bana, tunajuana. So that's all.
I am finishing now. Now, Dr. Awiti, I'm giving you 1 minute, exactly 1 minute. 1 minute starts now. Awiti. Kwani umeogopa kuongea tena? Awiti wayo. Guys, amniski? Am I not?
Wanyama unasikika. Huyu jamaa
tunakusikia.
Ni nani? Tunakusikia.
Why is he not speaking? Ama ameogopa?
Huyu ashaogopa juu tushajua ni nani. I know him. Asidanganya hapa watu. He's not a doctor. This guy is a goon.
Okay. Twitter will always... Hey, guys. Anyway, welcome to Twitter. And this has been 3 good hours of engaging interactions. Guys, we have not dropped Owiti because Sauti ya Wananchi, we allow everyone and anyone to come. We'll just hold you accountable to your speech or whatever you want to say. Marvin, do you have something to say as we conclude? Keoti? Ama unajua kijana Marvin unaweza pata kwa maandamano somewhere. You know, it doesn't for Marvin it doesn't matter which maandamano. Akisikia tu kuna maandamano next to him, the guy joins. Marvin. Keoti Sonko. Whoever is close to Marvin, please check on him. He might have joined a maandamano in wherever he is. Anyway, guys, it's been nice 3 hours. I really appreciate you guys attending this spaces Sauti ya Wananchi. It always happens every day in the morning from 7 a.m. Kenyan time to 10. That's crazy timing because ni kama morning drive show. And yes, we are creating your morning drive show as you prepare to go to work, as you prepare to go to school, because we have a very diverse audience. I want to tell you what our statistics for the show say, but just give it a second. Now, before I give you the statistics and everything, Manze, those everyone that comes from a background of despair, all those kind of things. I always call them my village people, because not everyone from the village is poor, but majority are. Not everyone from the city is rich as well, but majority are poor as well. Because if you keep the numbers from the slums, from the ghetto and all that, it still is quite high. You have no other option than to embrace education. Hakuna any other option. It's the greatest equalizer. Hakuna sijui you will work until your only working life is 30 years to 40 years. That's your working span in your whole life. So as we come to these discussions, everything, let us just remember, it's not mere talk when we come to speak about these things on education. It is what affects you directly. Apart from food, if you remember the Maslow's hierarchy of need, education is there amongst the basic needs. Hapo. Kwa sababu, today you might have the food, tomorrow. And if you look generation-wise kind of living, what will only better your generation tomorrow, irrespective of what you have today, is education. So it's a scramble for everyone, actually, both the rich and the poor. But can we imagine of a world that hakutakuwa na classism? No, I don't see it happening. It's a capitalistic nation. And it's majorly a capitalistic world. So once we accept that, then what are we going to do about it? Itabidi tu sasa tujikaze to safeguard what is supposed to be, what benefits all of us. At some point, you have to be selfless. Yes, in career growth, Nini, you have to be, a little bit egocentric and grow you, blah, 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 all those things. But in things that affect all of us, Manze, we have to think about it. Now, the question I'm giving it to you is, now you know what is happening in the university new funding model. Utadu? That's the question I'm giving up to you. Utadu? Now that you know, because that's where change comes from. In your little way, educate someone else. Tulisema, kibandas, jobless corner, kwa gari, Kenya ni yetu. Speak about all these things because you're not illiterate. You're just at a place where we are moving from political illiteracy to a place where we are now politically literate. Now move the message. This is like open source for those tech brothers. This is open source where we are asking you, our ambassador, please go spread the gospel. And the gospel is this. There is a funding structure that has come in, which is in 5 bands, because we always take notes in this Sauti ya Mwananchi spaces. Hatukuji kuongea tu, we take notes. So the takeaway is this. The funding model is split into 5 bands. Na nimeimba mara mingi and I'm singing one last time. These 5 bands are based on family income that the student comes from. Now, we learned from Wangali today that also you can be shifted on these 5 bands depending on the time that of your academic year. So imagine, saizi uko band 1 where it's extremely needy. Kidogo, boom, umeshiftiwa to band 5 where it is high income. Now, to explain to someone joining us right now, this is what the bands mean. And I'm going to put it in percentages again, because those income amounts are likely to change. Band 1, that's the extremely needy. So students receive 70% scholarship and then 25% loan, with the family contributing only 5% of the fees. Band 2, it's 60% scholarship, 30% loan, family contributes 10%. Band 3, 50% scholarship, 30% loan, family covers 20%. Band 4, 40% scholarship, 30% loan, family pays 30%. Band 5, high income, in your band ya mabazu, 30% scholarship, 30% loan, family contributes 40%. And all this is being determined by this thing called means testing instrument. It assesses the student's financial need based on household income, geographic location, poverty levels, family size, and special circumstances like disabilities. However, word on the ground when you wamejoin hapa kwa space wanasema it is not working effectively, because kuna watu wazazi wako na mshahara fani, because it has always been that. Na wako kwa hii band 5 ya high income, 30% loan, 30% scholarship, etc. Now, hii ndio sauti ya mwananchi, literal sense, because looks good on paper, but what is happening on the ground? And even if it looks good on paper, for who's reading the paper? Because the paper that we are listening at, or at sauti ya mwananchi, inaonekana haieleweki. Majority are poor and are saying hatutaki hii kitu. So who is reading the paper? And they don't like it. For those who believe that history, it always has to be complicated, etc., if you've been to a public university, even sijui nieke aje, you don't need to be in a public university to know university is the place that should not be touched. As much as kuna mashida mengi ambayo kuna too many graduates coming out of it, that's the gateway to literacy. So tafadhali tuchunge hiyo side. Now, to the analytics I was trying to show you is this. The audience that attends these spaces is mostly 18 to 24. I mean, lecha niwaeke vizuri hapa. So, the audience that attends, and I'm giving you the analytics so that as you come, ukikuja kwa hizi spaces, know the audience you're speaking to as well. Majority of the people attending this space is 25 to 34. That is 57.9% coming to the space. Followed closely, I don't know if it's closely, but closely, it's 18 to 24. Hii percentage ilikuwa ndogo sana, ilikuwa 5%. But it's growing, it's 18.6%. 18 to 24 years, these are the people now coming to the space to speak and engage and listen to you guys. Then, After that, it's 35 to 44 years. That's 17.6%. And then after that, it's 45 years to 54 years. I use analytics so that we also know who we are speaking to. Encourage the youth to come on board to these conversations. Personally, I'm a young millennial. Mimi niko hapo borderline. Sasa nashindwa niende side gani, huku kwa wazee ama huku kwa youngins, but I interact mostly na both generations. But now, you know, I like the fact that 18 to 24-year-olds are picking up the conversation on these spaces and are coming on board as well. I like the fact that 25 to 34, who are still youth, are going on with the conversation. I like the fact that 35 to 44 years are also in this space, speaking about these issues. What does that show you? The youth are taking up the conversation. 45 to 54-year-olds, wanakujanga hapa wanatupiga mawaidha na wanapotea. It's okay, keep coming back. Because you form 3.4% of the listeners of these spaces. We keep growing the movement, we keep growing the listeners to this morning drive show. Asante sana, my name has always been, or is, Wanyama Wafula. My handle is Wanyama _Wafula. I host this space every day in the morning. And Sauti ya Mwananchi, please remember to follow my handle. That is Wanyama _Wafula. I also offer news every 10 to 20 minutes, consolidated news. Hii handle pia ina offer bana employment to people. So please follow this handle as well, because utakuwa unapata consolidated news. We are also going to bring you news from Rwanda as well. The whole of East Africa will be bringing in news from Uganda. So it's a consolidated handle for all the credible news. Just because you DM us the news, we'll have to check it first as well. So keep DMing us the news as well. Keep tagging us on all the information that you keep tagging us. We really appreciate on that. My co-host, as always, has been Marvin Mabonga. Do sijui ameenda wapi. Sonko _254. He's always been co-hosting with me in the morning. In the evening, Sauti ya Mwananchi moves to the other handle, that is his handle, which is Sonko _254, where we host different topics as well. So in the evening, I'm his co-host. In the morning, he co-hosts on mine. That's how we do it as well. Other co-hosts, because we depend on a team, hii kazi si rahisi, we depend on a team as well, ni kina Escoino, hajaingia leo, kuna Ayo the 6th as well. Follow them as well on their handles. Ayo was here earlier today. Please keep interacting with the new upcoming people, and that is kina Ayo the 6th, Escoino, and our lovely lady, Rabia Hawa, who will be joining us all the way from coastal Kenya. If you're a lady and you want to join the team, we are actively looking for help as well. Kindly join the team because we want to balance the numbers. We believe in gender inclusion because tumekuwa wanaume wengi sana. Endeleeni kutujoin tafadhali, and if you have proposals on who as well you've identified as a good person to host spaces and moderate conversations as we do, DM us, tag us, let us know who it is, and we'll reach out to them as well. Santi sana. Today is a Mapiano Friday as well, because we promote music, art, and culture. Any spoken word as well, please keep tagging us. We'll try and bring so that they'll be ending our shows every morning. We do this from Monday to Friday. Kesho ni Saturday. I'll be hosting the Masculinity Saturday, where no politics, mambo ya wanaume. And it doesn't mean that only men attend, even women attend and speak. See you tomorrow on Masculinity Saturday. This has been your favorite host, Wanyama Wafula, and your favorite co-host, Sonko 254. See you.
zetu